Everyone. I don't think we have it actually recorded, which really sucks. I don't think we have like a copy of that. But we have, in case you don't know, if you're newer to this channel, we had a night. It was a topless night here many moons ago. We did this, and we even had women here for the topless night, and everyone was topless. Though the women, like, they covered themselves with like an arm, right? Like, because their nipples obviously melt the brains of children. To save lives. They had like a sheet over them, but everyone was topless. That was a fun night.
I have breast accesses too, man.
Oh
well. How does my mic sound? I'm cracked out the camera for this. I don't know how good it sounds. Is it echoey or?
It's good. It's good. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Chinchilla's here. Oh man, great. We have. Oh hey, Nuts is here. Oh not Nuts. Nubs. Excuse me. Nubs is here.
Look at that guy.
Just like Desperado Sensei. Doesn't he look like Desperado Sensei?
Just without the weird hat.
Just without that. Desperado, are you here? Desperado, this is you. This is your long lost twin, dude. This is him. Holy fuck!
This is all COVID hair, man. I had short hair like Dionysus here, but once we went to lockdown, this is 2.5 years of growth right here.
Damn.
Okay. Oh my god. Like it's
I can never do the
right?
maintenance. Good for
they
you, bro.
say you have like a twin somewhere in the world, and like they both converged on this show.
I don't know if they're twins. I think you're just mistaken white guys with long hair, Prime. I think you're just saying they all look the same.
I might have done racism.
All of us look alike to you, eh? Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so we have my man Chinchilla, we have my man Dionysus, we have Nubs, who's new to our community, is backwards. And then we also have Kobe, all right, coming from us from like inside the Iron Man suit, apparently.
I am at the World Whiteness Control Center. Okay, I'm at the heart of the beast. I'm at the pure heart of the beast. This is where we all the decisions are made. Okay. Okay, but I actually did have a spicy topic.
Please.
I think it's on everybody's lips. Okay, the famous Libs of TikTok Twitter page has been doxxed. They have been doxxed. A journalist, I believe, for the Washington Post, maybe a different publication, but 100% positive. I'll go fact check that in one moment. Has doxxed them. I believe they've doxxed their business, their address, and their name. I kind of just want to get people's kind of temperature on this. Obviously, I think the Libs of TikTok is a Twitter page I do not agree with, and promotes messages I do not agree with. But I don't know. I don't know if it's true. Are there any examples of her doxing people, not her reposting people's public TikToks, which is, from my understanding, maybe I'm misinformed, but that is what she does. So she reposts people's TikToks. That is not doxing. That can be seen as targeted harassment. There's a lot of arguments, maybe that's not doxing. If there is an example of her like, oh, a kid sent me this video and this is Miss Brown at this school, that's way different. Maybe but I'd be interested to hear people's opinions on that. Do you think that it's ethical to dox a person like this? What's your thoughts on this, etc.?
Okay, never, right?
Before you jump into it, thank you, not to Erudite, for delivering 150 souls here. Thank you, Erudite. Thank you for being on the panel. Thank you for jumping in and being just the amazing human being that you are. And thank you for sharing your community with us, guys. You know the deal. You've already heard my spiel, so like, hit that follow button. Jump into our socials, expert social and chat. For all our social media, follow us everywhere, right? And consider joining in. This is an open panel, exclamation for open in chat. We're talking about our friend Kobe has brought up the subject of Libs of TikTok. You missed the very beginning of that, but just very quickly, there's a Twitter page called Libs of TikTok, run by this far right lady that was engaging in, quite frankly, harassment against the LGBTQIA community, and the Washington Post, a woman from Washington Post, I believe, just did a story and like doxed her, right? Like revealed who this anonymous harasser was, and we're like talking about that whole situation. So anyway, if any of this sounds interesting or any other subject, come and join us. Jump into the open panel, right? Especially open in chat, like we say right there, gives you instructions on how to do so. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's not harassment, first off, Prime. You're incredibly wrong. If you post a public video on TikTok and I just retweet it, That's not harassment. If you say some dumb shit and I clip you and I put you on LSF, that's not harassment. I'm sorry, you put it on a public platform. Content creators do this all the time. We see this in our own communities, right? Destiny says some crazy shit, then we got 30 fucking leeches who make content out of it for the next week. That's not harassment of Destiny. Destiny said something out loud, he gave a take, some people didn't like it, and then they put their thoughts on it. Libs of TikTok does the same thing, but actually just non-biased. They just repost it. They don't add info. They don't add anyone's personal info. If it's like for example, we're talking about the LGBT shit. If it's like some crazy fucking teacher saying gender expression to first graders, they don't say who the teacher is, where the teacher is. They just post the clip that the teacher themselves posted. This is totally fine. And if Libs, or in this case, it's, hardcore leftists, are that hurt about what the fuck they're saying being republished, don't post it.
Just a minor, just a piece of context. I posted a link in the stream chat. The journalist who doxed her, just people are pointing us. Apparently, this last month she got doxed, and she went on a bunch of talk shows was talking about how horrible doxing is and how terrible and ruins your life, and you should never release people's addresses. And now she's doing this. That's just that's just a hypocrisy.
Oh, the hypocrisy
moment.
Of the left.
Yeah, it is a hypocrisy moment, but
but
a lot of people are bringing it up, and that article talks about the topic.
Which chat is this in?
Prime's stream chat. I'll put it one more time.
Yeah, put it in the VC chat too, for people to find. But I'm gonna push back against this hypocrisy. So I know what you're talking about, but I'm gonna push back against it. But I want to hear other people's opinions on this first. And Wick, I'm not sure if I said hi to you, but Wick, thank you for being here.
It's okay. Can you hear me? Am I coming through clearly? Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is look. It's never okay to dox someone. Like this idea that even if you do believe that Libs of TikTok is a harassment kind of site that is reposting these things and scheduling these things, signal boosting these things, that's the word I was looking for, is a form of harassment. It's not like two wrongs don't make a right here. Like going on to dox someone like this, a political enemy like this, is kind of gross. Kind of disgusting. And I'm reading the article now, so maybe there's more context in the article, but as I understand it, the person did release the name, address, etc. Correct? Is that correct, Kobe?
Yeah, name, address, and then a big, as you'll see in the article, apparently she's was going to relatives of this person and trying to.
Yeah, that's horrific. It really is.
Cringe.
Like
at very least the relative stuff. I hope we can have a rallying point of agreement. Leave the fucking leave your uncles and aunts out of this shit.
Yeah. Well, I'm automatically going to push back on the idea that just signal boosting some weird shit someone else posted is harassment. That's complete bullshit. I'm sorry. We don't have this standard for anyone else. We don't have it for larger content creators. We don't have it for fucking any type of actual TV network crap. We don't do this for anything. But just because now it's a page on TikTok that we don't like and that we disagree with politically, now we're going to call it harassment.
Well, to be fair, she did this as a reporter for the Washington Post. I find it extremely unprofessional that, in her pursuit to really get the real story, she inadvertently doxed. Oops. That's how it comes off to me.
Not allowed to.
I think that I can't give you a certain number, but I definitely think that when you have an additive, I think it's sum is greater. Sum of the sum is greater than the whole, or whatever, or the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Right? It's not just that she has a lot of a following. Is that she has a lot of a following. She's very influential within the right wing media stream. She already has gone on Tucker Carlson. She already has media links. It's a multitude of things. She's not just everyday person. She is somebody that has an audience that she can use to get people reported. She's gotten people successfully reported before. This could be a form of harassment.
So I'm gonna have to fight back because of the terrible takes that you guys have already dropped, right? I got these fancy new Bluetooth headphones. That means that I can still take in your terrible takes even when I'm on the shitter, okay? All right? And that's exactly where your takes belong, Dionysus. This idea that it's not harassment, this idea that it absolutely is. Is absolutely. This woman has said that people who on that Twitter page, right? People who come out to their students, like teachers, who happen to say, "Oh, hey, I happen to be gay," right? That they are groomers, they're child abusers, right? This woman is disgusting. They've
said that on her Twitter.
Her Twitter, yeah.
Okay.
she is a disgusting individual, has had a campaign of harassment against others, right? And so you guys are saying, well, no, the doxing, sure, you should never do that in any opinion. Well, she is actively trying to get other people quote unquote canceled or fired or just attacked based on like their sexuality. She targets the LGBTQ community, right? And so if you are going to be a hateful piece of shit, right, then yeah, actually it's fair game if someone comes after you. Like, I don't let bullies, right, hide behind their screen names, right? Like, if you are going to attack people, use your platform for dangerous, either toxic uses, right, or something dangerous, right? Like, let's say you were calling for violence. As far as I know, she didn't call for violence, but if they did, right, then I wouldn't care. Oh no, like, we got to protect the sanctity of their privacy. No, fuck that, and fuck her.
Yeah, so I'm searching their Twitter right now for what
again.
you just said. I can't find that.
Okay, and I want to push back against this conceptually, right?
Don't worry,
I want to push back against this conceptually. Like just because someone does bad things, and even if I grant you all these things are true, again, I'm not super familiar with Libs of TikTok, so I'll just stipulate to everything you said, true. This person is a piece of shit. They harass others, etc., etc., etc. That doesn't mean we can do whatever we want to them, right? There are still lines that we have to keep. There are still things that we cannot do and should not.
When
do.
does it become vigilantism?
It like as soon as you decide.
When does it? I'm not saying this was. I'm saying when does it?
As soon as you take matters into your own hands and start doing things that I believe is doxing illegal.
I have a question.
Doxing is illegal,
Yes.
and it's definitely like 100% like a vigilantism.
Is it illegal? Hold on, don't say that. Is it illegal?
It's not. It's not
illegal.
I think that we're meaning very different things, right? It can definitely be illegal to release certain types of personal information about people. It used to be up until like 15 years ago in many states, you could literally call the DMV and you could ask, where does X person live? And they would give you addresses. Like, it is not true that you can, it's illegal to give someone's address. That's not necessarily true. And so I think that, just to be fair,
I think for this story, it's really important to know that like the things that were doxed were things that were technically publicly available. This person was doing a bad job of hiding them. Okay. So
I do have a question here. I believe, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm spreading misinfo, I feel like there have been a couple times that she has uploaded stuff that students have sent her.
I don't know about that,
yeah, I'm sorry. I wish I could fact check this easier.
But the doxing that happened in the WAPO article was all stuff that was technically publicly available that the person who runs the account was trying to.
I just found an example. This is an example of the not a TikTok. This is obviously a kid filming from the audience, and it's of a drag performance at a high school. I'm just gonna put this in chat. So this is there are examples of her not necessarily posting stuff that's all public.
So if you guys are confused too with the WAPO article, the original version of it did have a link to the person who runs the account's real estate license, which had her address, her employer's name, had a bunch of other identifying information. That link was taken out of the article after kind of backlash, but that was in there originally. So name, address, that stuff was leaked, but it's technically publicly available. If you knew this person's name, the real estate license is public. If you the way that the doxing happened was that this person registered the Libs of TikTok account under a .us domain, and DNS reporting in .us is much more public than it is in just regular .com stuff. It's because it's within the US, and there are certain reporting.
She was asking for it. She was asking for it, gang. She
I'm
didn't protect her information enough. She asked for it.
Asking for it. Come on.
I'm saying there's a difference, guys. Hang on. No, I'm saying can we all acknowledge there's a difference, right? There's a difference between somebody finding publicly available information about me through a DMV search, through a court record search, those sorts of things. There's a difference between that and somebody like hacking my emails or leaking my social, right? Those are different.
It was legal.
We have to baseline that, right?
Exactly.
If it was legal, it was fine.
Stop. We have an echo. Someone's got an echo. So we'll have to figure it out. But someone has an echo here. All right. Keep going.
We also aren't accusing her of like leaking someone's social or fucking anything like that.
No, I'm just saying, I think that's a good baseline to remember, though, is like all the things that were published in the article were technically publicly available, Like, this is something that anybody with, you know, a little bit of internet experience could have figured out with a little bit of time. It's just stuff that you know, we can argue about whether or not it should be blasted in the way that it was in a national media forum. Yeah, but it is technically publicly available. Nobody's like doing anything like shady behind the scenes, like hacking into anything, right?
Well,
I
have a question.
guess, but if I took your info, where you live, your full name and everything like that I assume you try to keep hidden given the fact of your career, and like you probably don't want all that shit out there, and I just lambast on Twitter and I get it to reach the audience that her info did, I'm pretty sure you'd be upset, and I'm sure we all would count that as doxing.
Yeah, and then just to be fair, Eucharist, like the argument that I made to Dionysus a couple moments ago was that why I believe that her posting these things, even if they are publicly available TikToks, is because of the context of her platform. I'm going to make the exact same argument against the WAPO journalist. This is not her just being like, well, look what I found in posting in Discord. This is her writing an article where she's trying where she sets a narrative that this person is hunting LGBT people and this is where she works, right? Like that's
so I totally agree. We can have that argument. I just think that's like, I think we might be able to all agree that like somebody doing the sort of thing that comes to mind a lot of times when we talk about doxing, like the anonymous going and finding like the Westboro Baptist people's socials and leaking that, like that kind of doxing, we can probably all agree is bad. This is kind of a different level. This is like somebody doing some investigation, figuring out stuff about somebody who's clearly trying to stay anonymous, right?
But does
and
anyone
then
think that's
leaking that
good?
info.
Does anyone disagree that that's a bad
Are we going to be
thing
ethical?
do?
I disagree.
It is a bad thing. I disagree. It's a bad thing.
It's a bad
No,
thing
sorry.
to release.
No, it's a good thing. Sorry, it's a good thing.
It's a good
apologize.
thing
It's
to
very
release
good thing.
someone's public information when they don't
Yes,
To
when
endanger
people
and
have
judge
their
political
sometimes-
Jangles
Yes,
are gonna
yes,
have
yes,
base
yes,
cast.
it's
I want to
absolutely
hear
good.
Jangles take on
We're
this. You're gonna have a
exposing
beefsteak.
abusers. Yes, absolutely. Do that.
Users?
100%.
Yo, get the
Yeah,
fuck
you
out of
heard me.
here.
This doesn't
You
seem
fucking
like
heard
a
me.
principled stance on this.
Like, honestly, I'm using an avatar right now, and yeah, I don't want to be doxxed, but at the same time, if my information was publicly out there and that happened to me, you know, if it was in the guise of trying to be transparent to someone who's being abusive or manipulative online with their fucking videos, I feel like you should be okay with that.
Why is
No.
doxing bad?
No.
On a very,
Exactly.
very basic. First, what is doxing and why is doxing bad?
Oh, thank you for
Doxing,
being here,
as I
Jangles.
understand
I didn't even know.
Oh.
Here, hey,
Okay.
buddy. Haven't seen you in a long time. Thanks
To
for stopping
answer
by.
your question,
Seriously.
Jangles, doxing, as I understand it, is releasing public information about someone, like a address, real name. It could be as simple as just someone's real name and things like that, without their permission, without their consent.
Sure.
That they are at least making some level to hide and haven't already let it be known publicly that these things, like if someone let my real name out into the public, I would consider that a form of doxing. Why is it bad? It's because it removes one of the protections that on this terrible platform that we have, which Twitter and things like that, and it makes you vulnerable to attack by people who are okay with bashing the fash, so to speak, or going after those libs that are going after the kids, right? You know what I mean? It
That is true.
removes the level, it makes them vulnerable. Let's say that.
Yes, I 100% agree with both your definition of doxing and your conception of why it's bad and the harms it can cause. By any reasonable degree, Libs of TikTok engages in doxing. Here's why. Because like I hate this fucking argument that like, oh, they just like post liberals making videos that they put out into the public on their own volition. I hate that because they didn't put out these videos of their own volition with the intent of like being accused as groomers. Like, so the reason that Libs of TikTok is posting these videos is because they wanted to direct a lot of hate and harassment and intimidation onto these teachers with false framing. The false framing being that they want to groom kids. And grooming means sexual molestation. That's what it means. Anybody who's trying to convince you that grooming means something else is lying to you. You know why? You know how I know that they're lying to you? If they say that grooming doesn't necessarily mean sexual molestation, because we already have a word for that, and it's indoctrination. It's one of their favorite words. They'd use indoctrination if they didn't want to indict like some sort of like sexual connotation.
So two questions for you then. One, if I were to make a video or do a stream, and I make some crazy takes for whatever they are, and then for example Chud Logic or someone else does a react content to that and goes and just lambasts me for my takes and things like that and says this guy's terrible, this guy's a horrible person, is that doxing? I would say no.
Oh, of course not. But
of course
here's
not.
The
So
thing.
what's
and
the
here's
difference
the
between
thing.
these things?
Because here's the thing. And I mean this as no disrespect because this applies to me too. We're nobodies. All right? We're not influencing national politics. We're not on Tucker Carlson. We don't show up on major news sites. The fact that this person is influencing politics to the extent that like actual like press secretaries are using their the language that this TikTok account is putting out to the public.
So if Tucker Carlson did it to me, that would be doxing.
No, if Tucker Carlson took you seriously and you were influencing national politics.
Libs of TikTok is literally doxing private citizens. They're putting private educators that are not seen in the public eye at all front and center.
Yeah, I don't
know if I disagree. I don't know if I disagree or agree with that. I'd have to think about it more.
I would actually disagree with it just based on the definitions of doxing.
Just so you know, I'm putting this in the VC chat, and I'm putting this in the well, you know what? I'm not gonna put it in the Twitch chat. Guys, go to my Discord, VC chat. I would
disagree with the.
Hold on.
Sorry, go ahead.
What I'm trying to tell people is that in VC chat you can find the article, right? So go to VC chat, and I have like the Wayback Machine. It actually has a picture of this, right? So like the visual article is behind a paywall. So, but the Wayback Machine makes things free. So go check out the original article, and then you can help judge for yourself. Because I think a lot of people are talking out their ass. They don't actually know anything about this TikTok account. But go ahead.
Okay, just so for context, let me jump real quick in. Just because I want to be a bit more aware of what we're talking about. What is this account done that's so egregious that we're justifying this eye for an eye or just this this modicum of response?
So check out the article. The article talks about like how it's not just that they're simply reposting, right? The way Dionysus wanted to frame this is that, as Jangles talked about, like they did it in terms of grooming. Everyone is grooming. Everyone is a child predator, right? Which is a favorite thing on the right, especially the QAnon set, is that everyone's a fucking groomer. And so that's what they were doing. They're trying to frame people as a groomer previously. So guys, check out the article too. So if you're a little confused, but
so my second question to you, Jangles, is then say I agree with your definition here, and I'm not sure I do, but I'm not sure I don't.
My definition of what? Just to make it clear. My definition of what?
Of this is grooming, or this is this is doxing. What Libs of TikTok did was doxing. Say I agree with that.
Well, to be clear,
say I agree with that. Is it okay? Is it okay
this is a very
to dox them back, right?
I have a very semantic point. I actually don't think that what Libs of TikTok does is doxing, but I do think it like has the spirit of doxing. It's directing a lot of people towards this person who otherwise would not have been aware of them in a way that is very disingenuous.
The spirit of doxing.
Yeah, like it's a very semantic definition.
What do you mean by disingenuous?
But then my second question is the important bit. Like, given that that's the case, say we stipulate to that, is it okay to dox them back?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely, yes. You think it's absolutely okay because what you feel that they're doing is doxing to dox them back.
I feel like if someone is causing other people a lot of harm, it's good to know who that person is.
Yep.
I feel like this person is directly contributing to propaganda that will
right to hide.
They are directly contributing.
As the guy who
hold on.
YouTuber.
To be clear, they are directly contributing to propaganda. Yeah, they are directly contributing to propaganda that is directly trying to like incite violence. And I know that Libs of TikTok knows that they're inciting violence because when it was done to them, when their identity was revealed, they retweeted and fully endorsed a position that by revealing their identity, that people were that Washington Post was inciting violence onto them. I know they know what they're doing. I know they know that's what they are trying to do.
Do they reveal the identity of these quote unquote libs that post shit?
In the sense that they expose them to a large group of people with a disingenuous framing that frames them as child predators when they just come out as gay? Absolutely.
Yeah, I just strongly disagree with this. I strongly disagree with this because, again, we wouldn't hold that standard if it was happening to us. If there was a Twitter out there that was doing like the conservatives of TikTok and doing this the same way, and they got doxxed, we would be.
If there was an anonymous Twitter account, if there was an anonymous Twitter account, hold on. If there was an anonymous Twitter account that was directly inciting hatred, telling you, hey, this is what this person did. Here's a fucking queer person out here. Go and harass them. Go do Twitch. I don't want to get anybody in trouble on Twitch. If they were doing that, who cares about their anonymity? Fuck their anonymity.
They don't do that.
Exactly. They do
that.
They know they do
go harass these people. Go attack. No.
Yo, again, do you know how I know that they're doing that? Again,
How?
do you know how I know that they're doing that?
How,
Because when it
Jangles?
was done to them, when Libs of TikTok was revealed, when her actual real name was revealed, they absolutely amplified stories. Like, they're trying to incite violence against me. This
Has
is
there
terrorism.
been a time that
They
this person that
absolutely
ran this
did that.
account has published names of the people in the TikTok?
Yes.
Yes.
And
Read the article.
not
I know
only that, but like tagged the schools that they work at, tagged where they're spending 8 hours of their day. That is what they did. Here's this person who is a gay teacher who came out to his 5th graders because they asked, and this should be fireable by offense. This is the school he works at. Absolutely, that's what they're doing, and they know that's what they're doing because when it was done to them, they recognized that it was an incitement to violence.
And y'all aren't as outraged about the TikTok itself as you are the doxing of the TikTok owner.
No, I think the TikTok's
Exactly.
fine.
I have to admit I don't follow Libs of TikTok. I don't see their things.
You
But
don't follow
doxing
the-
as it is bad. It's a bad thing, and I just push back against this. Like, you lose your rights when you do bad things, like to a certain extent that aren't illegal, right? Like, if it was
lose your
illegal,
right to
and if it is
anonymity.
if it is illegal, then the reporter in question should have reported that to the authorities, not posted it out there and said, "Go get him, gang." Right?
You do not
Like,
have a
So
right
can
to
I-
anonymity
can I
on the
ask a
internet,
question?
right? And no, I'm sorry. Like, Wick does this all the time. He literally does this all the time, right? He defends people who end up being abusers and like, oh, hey guys, it's okay, right? It's okay that you do all this, but if we ever inconvenience these people, right? If we ever actually took the fight to them, then that'd be a problem, right?
Well,
Like,
I'll defend
we
Wick
can't
here.
violate. We can't violate them the way they violate us, right? And we're not violating them the same way. All we're doing, and the only thing this article does, is put a spotlight on what this woman's been doing. She's been spreading conspiracy theories, and Libs of TikTok has been extremely influential. It has been pushing news stories into the mainstream of right conservative media, right? And then causing harassment. So it's not like it stays on this like tiny little Twitter page, and then she's just doing her conservative journalism. No, she's pushing this out, and then it gets picked up by Fox News, and it gets picked up by literally legislators, right? Who take up these conspiracy theory stories. So there's the idea of the litter boxing, right? Like, fucking like brain rotted conservatives actually believe that public schools are putting litter boxes out, right, where kids are shitting in the litter boxes because they're furries.
I heard about this, yeah.
Right. This is a Twitter account that pushed that. And then it got picked up by state legislators. They're like, oh, our kids are shitting in litter boxes. They actually thought it. This is a conservative brain rot. And this account was doing that, right? So no, when they're causing abuse, right, and people are freaking out and attacking school legislators, and when they're causing abuse, no, you don't get to hide behind your username. You drag them into the light. Fuck her.
All right, Prime, I agree with. Hold on, Prime, I absolutely agree with you, but I want to defend Wick for a second. I think Wick is engaging in good faith. I want to hear the best possible arguments for like why this shouldn't have been done. I do want to hear that, and I feel like Wick is coming from this from an honest place, and I actually do want to hear the best arguments against this, so that our arguments are better.
His ideas are honestly dog shit. No, but he's an honest person. Yeah. Go ahead.
Wait, I have two arguments. I have two interesting arguments.
I have one thing to say too.
Okay, no, I've had my hand up for like fucking 5 minutes. Okay, my question would be here: is this going to work? As of today, she's opened up a Substack in which there's a $50 a year thing. She got hired by the Babylon Bee. All kinds of she's being featured on the, I believe Tucker Carlson's the most watched political show in America. Maybe that's, or yeah, very close. Joe Rogan. Yeah. Is this going to work? Is this actually going to, I mean, like, well, I'd even say like, is this going to work? Kind of presuppose the question. What would even be the point of this kind of docs?
What do you mean work?
I mean, I would assume that the reason that somebody would write this article would be that hopefully you would expose this person as being a non-faithful, non-good faith disseminator of information, and hopefully make her ability to disseminate information less. I would assume. What would you assume? What would you view?
Right?
Well,
I would view
other than
like we want more information out there. We want to know more about this very influential person. I think you're correct. I don't think this is going to hurt her at all because, like, oh, she's a disinformation peddler. Oh, she's incredibly bad. Oh, she's lying about everything. It doesn't seem to like hurt
Okay, then
anyone.
here's my question.
Sounds like a
So
Fox News contributor in the making.
here's my
Yeah.
argument then. Well, here's my question then. If we agree that this is probably not going to impede her ability to disseminate this misinformation, and actually we agree this might actually help her and propel her career, and if you're arguing, well, this is just giving us some more information about her. What does knowing that the person behind Libs of TikTok is a real estate agent? What is this doing for us?
because it gives us
gets
more
her-
information, and more information is usually good.
I
do
think
think
What
that
is
the
this?
fact-
What is the use of
Hold
this
on, no, hold
information?
on. More information is
So
good,
she
and
feels
also.
unsafe. It's
So she
like-
feels.
Well,
I feel like that's
well,
the
I'm
truth.
glad-
Honestly, I
kinda
feel like
glad-
that's actually true.
Wait, if she feels
Yeah,
unsafe,
that's it.
I'm
It was
kind
an
of glad.
intimidation tactic.
Own it
to
though.
be
Yeah,
own that
right.
argument. Own that argument.
Whoa.
We have more information.
Hell
Fucking
yeah.
bullshit.
I mean, that's totally fine. Own it.
All right,
If you want to
Brento.
make
All right, Brento.
Hold
Why
on.
does she feel unsafe? Why would she feel unsafe with her name?
Stop.
out there?
Hold on.
People
Stop.
are going
Stop.
to try
Stop.
to attack her.
Stop. Stop.
Probably
no.
because you got crazy
Stop.
girls like
Bro,
Crime and
because
Jangles.
when you
who think
write
it's
an
okay
article,
to do
Her name
violence
is
against
Chaya
them.
Rechik. I can spell out for you. No problem.
Wow.
Yeah, you
When
heard
you
me.
write an
What's
article,
your first and last name?
don't hold on.
At the moment I
Chaya
start
Rechik.
abusing people, the moment I dedicate my platform to causing misery among especially groups, disempowered groups, then please dox
Wait, but
me at
this
that
is a
point, right?
standard.
But I
Wait,
don't
but
care.
wait. Pause. This is a standard we don't want to put up because there's people who are falsely accused of really abuse and a bunch of bad shit all the fucking time. And Prime,
she
you
being
know better than
falsely
a lot of
accused?
people about that shit.
Is she
No,
being
but there's
falsely
cases where
accused?
people are. No, but there's people. It matters what we're talking about. But what you just said, if it ever comes out that I get accused of this, then
I
yeah,
didn't
dox
say
me.
accused. No, I didn't say accused. No, I didn't say that. I said if I ever did it, if you guys had proof that I was actually doing this, right? Like,
Okay.
no, not proof.
But
like,
the problem is-
not even proof. As if this is all my stuff happens online, right? You get to see me.
Yeah,
You see me.
and people have tried to tank your career in a false flag
I'm saying
bullshit
you
way.
get to see
and I would
me.
hate
get
for
to see
you
everything that
to
I'm-
back up this
You're-
doxing bullshit,
you
and
are-
then you get hit with the same stick,
you
bro.
get to see
I would
me
hate
all
for
the
that.
time. My work is public, right? And so you can judge whether what that's what I'm doing or not, right? Like if I'm actually trying to have target harassment against individuals, right? But let's go from the other way around. If this person was like a straight up no fucking around like white nationalist, right, who was posting anti-Semitic videos, right, and calling like Jews groomers, right, or drinking the blood of Christian children, right, and like was getting people to harass them, are you saying they deserve protection? Then that's not what we're doing. But if they were doing that,
They deserve
if
rights,
that was the
the same
situation,
as everyone
should
else.
they? No, I see. What did I tell you? He protects abusers. He does right there.
If you don't, if you only
Oh,
stick up for the rights of the
absolutely.
people you
There you
agree
go.
with,
You just
you
call
don't
it
care
abuse
about
because
right.
you made two
There you
fucking
go. No,
embarrassed
that's not the
people. You
right.
guys
You
look
don't have a right
insane,
to
you don't
anonymity
like
on the
it,
internet.
so you're
It's
calling
not a
it
right.
abuse.
You
Look
don't
at
understand the
everyone here
law.
as a mis-
Sorry, hold on.
Can I get-
That's not-
let me
hold
get
on.
in here
Hold
soon.
on,
What-
hold
I
on.
want-
That's not. Hold on.
This is
Hold on.
ridiculous.
That's
You
not a
don't like
right.
it, so you're
Hold on.
upset.
Shut up. That's not a right. You don't understand the law. You don't have a right to anonymity on the internet, right? You're not violating their rights at that point, right? And they are violating others' rights to safety.
No, they're not. It's everything's public. She's showing videos that people put out publicly. That's
All right,
it.
everything that she put out was public too. That makes it right.
Yes, everything she put out was public.
Cool. So she
You
wasn't
just
doxed.
segregated
Nothing
the
was
ones
wrong.
she
Hold on,
thinks is
She
guys.
wasn't doxxed.
And you're like,
wait.
oh, she's committing violence. She's going for harm.
Can
No,
I-
it's bullshit.
Can I make-
She embarrassed you
Read the
all.
fucking
you all
article.
fucking pissed off.
Oof.
Hold
Oof,
on.
Brento.
Specifically-
Hold
on.
Don't just
Stop
fucking
yelling.
read the article.
This
The article
is gonna
just
become a
fucking
screaming fight soon.
opinion.
Okay, I have a question.
Read the
I have a very
fucking-
quick
read what the
question
article says.
to
You're
Prime
using
and
the wrong
to.
mic.
Read
Brent,
the
you're using your
article,
wrong mic.
Brento.
You're not using your regular mic.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Wait,
Cody.
Prime. I have a quick question to you and to you and to Jangles, right? Regardless, just beyond the realm of good and evil, regarding this is right and wrong. Would you agree that the level of the level of snooping that needed to be done to find the information that was released in that article is like on a different level than what at least I have been seeing the average post on Libs of TikTok? It seems like the Libs of TikTok has two kinds of posts: reposting TikToks and posting stuff that students send to her. Would you agree that's the majority of it? Am I wrong here?
It is a different level, but I want to ask you, like, what's the spirit of why doxing is bad?
Again, I would argue that doxing is bad.
I don't think
in
either of them were. I don't think that Libs of TikTok doxes. My definition of doxing is like.
Yeah, I
you have to,
actually
like-
agree with you there. Yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah.
Okay, so just be.
I'm pro-doxing. Sorry, but I just have to clarify. That.
Okay, Brittany, do not talk over two queer men. Okay, number one, do not do that. I'm joking. I'm joking. Actually, I agree with you. I earlier I had a note that I wrote down. I actually think that what they do more is like kind of like you could argue is like targeted harassment, right? And like I'd argue like the reason why targeted harassment is bad is, well, obviously harassment is bad in and of itself, but the reason why like doxing is bad is because it's like you are inciting people to dislike a person and to have information about where you can access that person, and that you and the implication that some people are going to have is to do bad things to that person. I would say that's the reason why doxing is bad, is that you are opening up the floodgates to action that you yourself cannot condemn, but it's worse.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with everything you're saying so far.
And also just to preface this, just so everybody knows here, because I think this is going to hear, I think that what she's doing when she retweets stuff is bad in a similar way, and I think it's bad. I think you shouldn't do it. I think it's targeted harassment. So do not get me confused and think that I think that it's okay to do what she does.
I'll give on this level. That like, I think one way or other, when you post a name out there, whether it's for good or for ill, then you can't control what happens afterwards. So even if like, so apparently they put their address there. If she had put the address in the original version of this, then I do condemn that, right? I want people going to this person's house, right? I'm not like them, right? I'm not as disgusting as this woman is, right? So I don't want people going to their house, this one person's house, or endangering her personal safety, right? But if you do put a name out there, then it's kind of like,
yeah,
that might happen.
My biggest problem with this is the address of her, and the second thing, and I'm assuming both of us agree, is the addresses and bothering of family members. That's like mob shit, bro. Like I think that it's like if your sister is an adult and she does crazy shit, you should not have a Washington Post journalist at your fucking house.
Let's say
trying to bug you for an argument. In my opinion.
Let's say an anonymous person is posting all of these addresses of all of her family members. Anonymous person is posting all of the addresses of these family members. They're posting where she goes to brunch. They're posting where she lives and works. Well, they're anonymous. Don't dox them.
No.
They are...
No. They're
posting it, dude.
No, the answer is easy. The answer is easy. You give the information over to the authorities. That person, hypothetical person.
Wait, what was illegal? What was illegal? What did they do?
Wait, maybe I'm wrong. Hold on. I thought I was under the. I thought it was.
You and me both, Britt.
I thought that there are at least some jurisdictions in this country in which doxing is illegal. Maybe I'm incorrect here.
You are if it's not
that's
private.
Who here is okay with doxing? Can we like go around?
Sure, but in that hypothetical. No, I would not think that I would not want somebody who is involved in like stupid political culture war shit on the internet to have their physical address leaked, where somebody could go and do physical violence.
But here's the thing: is like, what's the point in the fucking media? Like, what's the point in the newspaper?
Not to give people's addresses.
Not to give people's addresses. To talk about the idea.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Scuff broadcast. Go ahead. Finish.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying, like, what's the point if like you can hide behind your anonymity and say whatever the fuck you want?
Hold on. I would actually give, just to say, Prime gave earlier.
Oh my God, Kobe, you've been talking forever. Let me talk.
Yes, because I'm fucking smart as fuck. Okay, I would give in some respect that I'll let you talk about this. I would give in some respect that I actually think there's some level of doxing that's okay here. If they found let's say that this person had a Twitter account that was wasn't attached, but like it was just like her personal Twitter account. I don't think that's too far. She posts people's TikTok, posts that person's Twitter. My problem here, and I said before, is like fucking addresses, that kind of shit. That's my too far.
I agree with that actually. I agree with the addresses.
I agree.
Does it have to be a home address, or can they just say the school that you work at, which is an easily Googleable address?
Bro, no, I agree.
Kobe,
I think for the same fucking reason. Yes, I promise you right now.
Okay, so we'll go to Brittany. Who else has their hand up? Okay, so we'll go to Dionysus. We'll go to Eucharist. Anyone else? I got your name. I got you. Yeah, I got you. Brittany.
All right, so just a couple questions. So I would like to know who here is like pro-doxing, and when you guys are talking about that, are you guys hoping that people get like fired from their jobs for whatever it is that they're doing? What's your goal with this? I got here late, so I mean, is Jangles and Prime both pro-doxing? Is that what I'm hearing?
Conservatives, pro-doxing conservatives. Yes.
Pro-doxing conservatives.
Nope, that's not true. Don't
Libs of TikTok literally got teachers fired. Hold on, Libs of TikTok literally got teachers fired from their jobs.
How?
Literally.
I don't know about Libs of TikToks, but like, what did she do?
Is that a problem?
Wait, hold on. Yeah. If it doesn't matter if it's doxing.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you get someone fired for doing something wrong. You're still doing something wrong. Is that right?
Oh,
What
well,
do
they
you
didn't do
mean
anything
doing something
wrong. Yeah, they didn't do anything wrong.
He's saying they got people fired from their jobs. Maybe they should have been fired from
Hold
their
on,
jobs.
so-
Maybe
So it's
they did
okay to
something
dox
wrong.
someone if they do something wrong.
At least
If
one of
they're
the
putting
instances.
it
No,
out
it's
online,
not.
they're not doxing
No, I don't
them.
think
They're
so.
literally exposing what they're doing. They're putting it online and showing.
This
hey,
is
here's
why I
what
wanted to
we're doing.
baseline the public information thing, because we have a different understanding of what the doxing is in
If
these
someone-
cases. Because for the public school teachers, these are people posting things about their school and identifying themselves as teacher and the schools that they're working at. So yeah, maybe there's a different threshold here, right? Like,
Yes.
The person
It's
she
not
got
even the same
fired
thing.
made
We're
it.
asking, is it okay to dox someone who has gotten someone fired for doing something wrong?
So revenge doxing is what you're saying.
I think
To be
That's
very
the
clear,
question.
I mean, y'all would
Just
call
because-
that cancel culture.
Yeah,
just
I think
because
we're
the
too
wrong
far
thing
on
the teacher did, just to be very clear, the wrong thing the teacher did is they made a TikTok in which they said like, if your parents don't accept you as LGBT, fuck your parents, I'm your parent. That specific thing was a big deal in the schools, and as somebody who, at least in my school, that was talked about before. If the idea that like a teacher is going to try to convince a kid, I don't think the teacher was doing it. I don't think it was planned. I think the teacher just said a stupid thing. But if a teacher is trying to convince a kid that they have the same level of respect as a parent and the same level of trust, that is something that that like we were talked about in like abuse stuff. Now, I do not think that's what that person was doing. I think it was a misrepresentation, but that's why they got fired. Just to be clear, that was
I'm
that
sorry.
wrong
In
thing.
your school, where were you talked to about this kind of abuse?
Like 4 times we had seminars where entire classes would be brought into the auditorium and we would talk about like inappropriate things that teachers and other people would be doing to us. They talked about like the part, I remember, I think in the 6th grade one, it was like the parts of your body that like is not okay, the swimsuit zone, like that, like yeah, like that's good. Wait,
Wait, you were talking
Brittany,
to teachers that were doing inappropriate things to you? I feel like I missed
No,
it.
we had a seminar in which they were telling us that if a teacher is saying that they want to touch us in our swimsuit zone, then we need to talk to authorities. It was an
To be clear, that is not what these teachers were doing.
So
Yeah,
did
okay,
those teachers do
we
that?
need to get a
though?
baseline. We need to get a baseline. We're gonna be around in circles. The article is in BC chat. I put the article there. Go check out the article. Don't know what we're talking about? Read the article and then we can engage. All right. So we're moving on. Dionysus, you're next.
Yeah, great. So, I really don't like the idea that just because this one person finds what the TikTok account is doing abhorrent, that then it's okay to dox them, or once you think someone passes that threshold, then it's okay. So, example, that's actually pretty close to this community. Vivian and her Antifa retards have publicly advocated for your mass reporting, Prime, because you platform Brittany, Lauren Southern, Kai, Clips, Doobie, and others, and they justify this by platform abuse and that you're platforming really dangerous rhetoric, right? Obviously, we all disagree with this, okay? According to them,
Totally.
it's
Preach
okay
on, man.
to
Preach
dox
on.
you, man. Right? It's fucking okay to dox your address, your full name, get your livelihood taken away from you because they see it as abuse in their
Was
own standard.
Vivian on
Not
CNN?
every-
Was Vivian on Fox News?
Does it
Has
matter?
Vivian influenced state
Does it
legislatures?
matter?
Vivian's pretty powerful in these
They're not
online
doing that much
spaces.
damage. Fuck you,
I-
dude. That's
Does it fucking matter?
I'm not sure Vivian's very powerful.
Have a
But
standard.
Dionysus, I'll engage
No,
with you.
but in Vivian's eyes, she thinks what you're doing is abuse. Right? The standard for what we say abuse is not the same across the board. So if some crazy, dangerous asshole like Vivian thinks someone like you's abusing shit like that, what makes you think even crazier assholes are not going to do other stuff?
Okay.
Which the left has a lot of crazy assholes.
Okay, yeah. Well, okay. I'll say this then. I think you're right on at least on that level. I don't think that's Vivian is saying this is abuse. I think her critique is something different. But she like Case's channel. She's talked about getting this channel taken down. And any other channel that allows Brittany to just wander on the way I do, like off the fucking streets. But like, yeah. But
I was
but
lost
I hear you.
and
I hear what
cold.
you're trying to say. You're trying to say that. Once we allow any of this, right, then at any point in time, anyone can make that decision. But that's the case. Like, at any point in time, anyone can take the opportunity to hurt someone, right? So, like, it can be for no reason at all that someone could try to come after me and try to dox me, correct? Right? For absolutely no reason. But in this case, we have a reason. An actual reason. This person has been doing targeted harassment, actual targeted harassment. We have the proof of their of their effects on individuals, right? Okay. So
And
is
also,
there, before
Vivian's
that, I just want to establish one thing. Is there any line at any point in time that someone's online behavior should lead to them being revealed to the public? Are you sure
To the
there's no
public?
line
I mean,
here?
to authorities, at least illegal shit.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Are you asking morally? Morally?
Sorry, Dionysus.
But like,
what'd you say?
But like my random, I said at least to authorities, probably illegal shit. But like for Vivian, the quote her exactly, she calls it platform abuse. That you platform dangerous people, and platforming thus puts other people, especially minority communities, in danger.
Okay, well then I'll give you that.
And, like,
Then Vivian says crazy shit. Fair enough.
And so like I don't want like, hey, let's now say this is where we draw the line. And we all know the slippery slope is real. Have we not seen the culture in the past like 6 fucking years?
I will give on this. I will give on this. Let's go to the next person. Eucharist, Nub, Wick, Fox, and anyone else? Dan? Okay.
I definitely lean on the Dionysus side of that conversation, so I won't really add to that. The one thing that I might push back on some of the things that Dionysus and Brento and other people are saying is the suggestion that what the journalists did in like going to families' houses is necessarily like way out of bounds. I mean, I kind of agree. It's like that's one of the things that struck me is just like, wow, this is ridiculous. But at the same time, one of the problems with journalism as a field is that a lot of the things that journalists do are like fundamentally antisocial, and they're things that we wouldn't want other people doing in context other than journalism, right? Like the concept of like buttonholing somebody into an interview, just like accosting them on the street and shoving a microphone in their face and trying to get a comment from them right then. Like that's a shitty thing that I just want not to happen to me, but it's a thing that sometimes you have to do in the context of like things in public interest, right? So things like going and knocking on doors and trying to get somebody right spur of the moment to give you a comment on something, things like emailing somebody, at the midnight hour right before a story is due and trying to get comments. Those are things that journalists kind of have to do, and yeah, they're really shitty things. I'm not sure that we want to like holistically condemn them, but like I understand why they like grade against us, but also I don't know if I want to be like, oh no, that's awful and no journalist should ever do that, because actually I think we could come up with scenarios where we'd all be okay with journalists doing those things. So yeah, I think I lean on like the DO side of the equation on these things, but like that's one that I wanted to push back on.
Okay, Nub, you're next.
All right, so this is where I'm coming from. We all agree that nothing illegal was done. It was all publicly available information, and both sides kind of did some doxing to some extent. And I think what we're arguing over now is who was more egregious, who did it worse. And I see that there is an argument in that space, but it can also be. You can also suggest it shouldn't be like, oh, they went overboard in response. Is my response supposed to be limited to how far your aggression drew the line in the sand? Like, do you get what I'm saying here? I'm supposed to like hold. I'm not supposed to go further than you pushed. I'm not allowed to go even one step beyond that line. Like, it seems silly to present that. Like, both sides they're at war right now. It's like, fuck it. That's how I see it.
Oh, okay. So the reason why we have to stand firm on these cultural norms that we have, and that it's not okay to dox people, even we egregiously disagree with them. Like, I've been doxed before, right? Back in 2010, I was playing a video game, okay, and I got pretty high in the video game. I would kill people in the video game, and we had our little thing going. A group of people that were technically savvy did not like that. They found out my home address, they found out my home phone number, they found out my family's information, they found out my relatives' information. They would call them up at all hours of the night. These people believed what they were doing, that what I was doing was harassing them online in the game because I was killing them over and over. They thought I was harassing them, and because they believed it didn't have to be true, but they believed it to be true, and so they felt justified in doing these egregious things. The reason we stand for cultural norms not to dox people is because that shield protects everyone. And yes, bad actors hide behind that shield on occasion, but that shield isn't for them. It's for me and you, the people who aren't doing these things, who deserve to be
your
protected.
doxers are anonymous.
What do
you do?
When we open up this Pandora's box, what you're
Wick,
doing
your doxers are anonymous.
Mustard gas,
what do you do?
And the wind's gonna blow back on you one day, and
Wick,
it's not
your
gonna be
doxers
pretty.
are anonymous. What do you do?
You report them to the authorities.
How?
You report them to the authorities.
You're expanding doxing. If people produce videos and they put them out, and then someone shows people, hey, look at this video someone made. You're like, that's doxing. That's not doxing.
Nope. We
That's
actually
bullshit.
disagreed. Nope. We actually said that wasn't doxing.
That's what it is. That's what Libs of TikTok is.
And especially in this case where she has all of her personal information like on there, right? On the TikTok.
Look, there's a difference between finding information and
that we all agreed to was like
broadcasting
neither
that
one of them did
information,
doxing
right?
in the traditional sense. But the spirit of
There's a
doxing
difference
was
between
present.
broadcasting the information and just finding it out. Like, if I found out that information and I released it to the authorities and not to the public, that's not
You keep
necessarily
saying
doxing.
authorities. What are the authorities going to do? it's not illegal to
Wait,
publish
well,
someone's
couldn't you-
address.
Couldn't you get like a, I don't know,
Well, do you
restraining
know
order or some
they
shit?
have-
I don't know.
They have like those websites where it's like 99 cents and you can get literally their entire history if you just have their name. You can have their previous addresses, their phone numbers, their like entire it's crazy. Why is that even legal that you can do that?
You know, if we want to have a conversation on that, yeah, that shouldn't be legal.
We have open records laws. Yay.
There's a whole fucked up other conversation to be had about
Open
that.
record laws exist.
Certainly, but
This
again,
ties into why
there's a
Florida
big
seems so
difference
crazy,
between
actually,
broadcasting them because we agree, and I think from what I've read in the article and what I agree with you guys that what the libs of TikTok was harassment at the very least. I don't know about doxing, but it's harassment. It was terrible, and they should not have been doing that. I disagree with Brento on this, but at the same time, just because someone does a horrible thing doesn't mean it's okay to do that horrible thing to them. And I think broadcasting in the way it was done in this particular instance, broadcasting the address, broadcasting the name, and these things, no, that's not okay.
I don't
It's
care
not-
about the
this
name.
is
The address
idealistic,
is
though.
No, I
Was
just
it?
saying.
I actually have to ask. Was it the address? From what I understand, like the original version of the article included a photo of her real estate license, which may have included her address. Is that
It linked to her
accurate?
real estate license, which had her address and her employer's address on it.
Okay.
Yeah, in the original.
I'm just making sure. I'm just making sure.
Yeah. So that's all I'm saying. It's like
the next person in
name
line-
is. I don't think
The,
doxing.
hold
I
on,
don't
hold on.
think
The
a
next person in line
reporter
is
saying
Fox. Fox? Isn't that your name? The guy right next to me with the hat on?
Fox or Pox?
Pox? Is it Pox? Oh, okay.
Pox, yeah, Pox father, sorry.
Excuse me.
Wonderful
Pox. Go ahead.
His kid
Yeah.
has smallpox. No, sorry.
It's actually I stream Warhammer a little bit. It's related to that. So I mean, as we've been talking about this, I've been looking through the article, and just to pin this down, we're talking about whether or not this Washington Post article doxing this lady is a big deal, right?
Well, we haven't agreed.
Yeah.
That it's doxing.
No, we haven't agreed if it's doxing. We haven't agreed if doxing is a problem. We haven't agreed on anything yet.
Okay, is it a big
some
deal?
people don't even know the facts of the case yet. We're all over the place. We're working on it. Go ahead.
So, taking this back to what she was saying at the very beginning. In 2020, she started this thing, and she started talking about, numbers, infection numbers, and stuff like that. To me, that is directly harming people. I work in the medical field, and the more people who talk negatively about this kind of stuff, the more the numbers went up, right? Or calling it a hoax or whatever. And however, someone like her who is talking like that, I don't think that they should be doxxed. On the other hand, this says directly that even after changing handles, she identified publicly as a real estate investor in Brooklyn, and continued everything that she was saying. And then early last March, she pivoted to a parody account titled Houseplant POTUS, pretending to tweet as if she was a houseplant living with President Biden. Even after all of that, she still put all of her information in the Twitter bio. So, I mean, this is reporting, in my humble opinion. That's all it is. It's not
what
doxing
reporting value
specifically
does
in this
releasing
situation.
someone's address have? What reporting value? What
Someone's
education
address?
to the public?
Wait, someone's address.
Anyone's
probably
address.
none.
If I reported
Anyone's address, probably none. A huge figure that has influenced public legislation and has appeared on the biggest news sites in the world, probably some, right?
It also says
I
here
disagree.
that
It was
value?
malicious. We agree. It was malicious what the reporter did. There's some
by this
maliciousness in there.
March, they were directly impacting legislation. DeSantis Press Secretary Christina Pushaw credited the account with opening her eyes and informing her views on the state Don't Say Gay bill. She and the Libs of TikTok have interacted with each other at least 138 times publicly. Even then, where in this document, where in this reporting does it say exactly where she lives? If you can point that out to me, I'll be on your side, but I'm not seeing that.
It was linked in the
She actually
original
had-
article.
She
Is the
had
problem.
private
Yeah.
interactions with a legislator, like private interactions under her tag, right? Is that what you're saying?
Right, but it's the doxing that he's talking about is on her TikTok, on her Twitter,
Oh,
right?
I agree. No.
That's where the information came from. Him
And that and her real estate license, which was pulled from the article eventually. It was originally hyperlinked to it. You can still find it. The Wayback Machine will pull it for you if you want. But in this like second or third paragraph of the article, originally it said this person has been practicing as a real estate agent, and it linked to her real estate license, which has full name, her address, her employer, her employer's address, all in that. And that was
Just a
written
quick
in the
question. I don't
original
hear
version.
so
My question is, what value does that releasing the address of someone who even is a public figure, what value does that have to the public? Why do I need to know? Like, what about having her address would help me to elucidate the situation for me?
You could threaten.
It puts the reporter's name on the map.
What value does that have?
That reporter got a lot of attention.
It was posting proof of her license, not necessarily directly saying this is where this person lives, right?
Proof of her license.
They
is
should
relevant.
have probably
What?
either blurred that out or just not had that picture.
I agree. That was nonsense.
Yeah, I think all of us agree that, like, yeah, don't post someone's like home address. That doesn't add.
Yeah, but Jangles, you were
But Britt,
arguing
you're
that
actually-
there was value to releasing the address, that there was some reportative value.
No,
to this.
I'm saying revealing her name.
did say that.
Absolutely, there is.
Well, hold on.
value to
Yeah,
that.
to defend Jangles,
He did say that.
he said that before me and him had the exchange about the address.
Okay.
I clarified that. I directly asked a question to Prime and him. We clarified that. That was
I
before.
misunderstood. Carry on.
And,
That's
I want to. I'll reach out to Wick for on one part, right? I think there is a difference between like there are some people on this platform who like say their full names, right? Who just give that out, right? And then if a reporter in an article said that, okay, well, this is this person's full name. You talk about their full name all the time. This is it, right? That's one thing. That's reporting. But like this is I think there was a difference to finding something people didn't mean to release. So this person, like, she registered a website and she used her name to do it, right? And that's how they found her. That, like, she didn't mean to do that, right? Like, she didn't mean to be found that way. I think there's a difference there. Now, I'm fine with them making that leap, right? But I don't think it's the very same thing as saying, as talking about, like, I don't know, Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt uses his name, is in public, right? Like, reporting on his name is different from reporting on a person who, like, has taken efforts to hide their identity, right? And then reporting that.
So wait, so then in the context of the videos that this person is reposting, right? If somebody is like, "Hey, my name is this. I'm a teacher in Oklahoma," maybe even saying their district in these videos, and this is what I'm teaching my kids, right? Those people have put that out and are not making an effort to obscure it. So it seems like there might be a difference. I'm not denying that, like what you're saying, like there's commentary, there's things that are directed, like there's criticism, there's saying these people are groomers. We can talk about all that, but the actual content of the TikToks themselves is sometimes the thing that we might be calling doxing, is these people saying, here's my name, here's where I teach, here's what I'm teaching my kids. Like that. So this person was taking efforts to obscure their identity. These people were not, and this person was taking that and making the content. The thing about like the history of the Twitter account is hilarious to me, because this person was clearly trying so hard to make content and be an influencer and be like a political parodist for so long, and just utterly failed until they just started reposting other people's content. I think
Playing
that's
with fire. They were playing with fire and they got burned, man.
Giving publicity to somebody who's making content isn't doxing. Other stuff is doxing, just so we're all clear.
Just to move it out of this like doxing conversation, I worry very much so. And Glenn Greenwald was on TikTok, or I was on TikTok. He was on Glenn Greenwald today. I watched Glenn Greenwald's little thing because he had the Libs of TikTok person on. And I think, I don't always agree with Glenn. I think he's a memer or like a dumb fuck. I shouldn't just call him a memer, a dumb fuck a lot of the time. But I think that he was correct in that, like, this is going to set a precedent. A lot of this stuff sets precedents, and I really don't think this is a good. There's a lot of people that could very much negatively affected on the left by this. It's okay to dox people, and this has happened before. This has always been a threat that Gamergate and all this kind of stuff that LGBT creators and minority creators.
Vivian needs to get in on this. I mean, she's like the queen of freaking doxing people and getting people screwed over. Right? I don't know why she doesn't just get her little ass in here and talk about some of the things that she's been doing.
Well, hey, Brittany, can I rev you up?
No, I know she's not. She's so cowardly. Like,
Brittany, can I rev you up to have a debate with Vivian? Can I rev you up?
We need the mind of a doxer. That's what we need.
It's very soy to like talk shit about somebody who's not there. Okay, it's very soy.
But she was in the chat. What are you talking about?
Let's go.
She's not in the voice call.
Let's
I
go
know.
to-
I'm trying to get her in the voice call.
let's go to Dan and then Brento. They had their hands up previously.
Yeah. As I actually did read the article of this whole thing, and one thing that did concern me that no one talked about was one section that specifically talks about her, like a lawyer who is connected being as a Republican operative, like using like Blip TikTok as like a news service of somehow. To which then I kind of think that if that is the case, it could be astroturfed by a Poltard, the party of that area, and it might end up being beyond just simply like two people at each other because they disagree because due to politics. It could just be like political party sponsored doxing too, if the situation is true. But as said, it's more like hearsay. There has to be more articles on it.
Okay, Brento?
Sure. It is not doxing to repost public videos that people have publicly posted. If you are then taking those videos and you're saying, here's the person, here's their name, here's their address, and they have not posted those things, then yes, that would be doxing. But if you have an aggregate account and you are reposting public videos, that is not doxing and that is not harassment. They're not abusers.
Whoa!
That's
You
ridiculous.
said doxing and harassment. You said doxing and harassment. Those are two different things. If you repost those public videos, they call them groomers. Is
So
that
if someone
harassment?
Says, like, if you
Who said rumor?
are going to, if they're
She
grooming,
did.
it's not. If you're insinuating,
Are they
calling them
grooming?
Groomers, they're not.
Is coming out to your kids
You'd
grooming?
have to go about each specific one. We're coming after people's kids. Like, if you,
I wish we could do
if you're
that.
trying to convert people to like a religion. If they were like, hey, I'm going to convert this whole class to my religion. What would you call that? That would call be indoctrination. Right?
Prime.
You're
I have a
sorry,
quick
it's like
question.
fucking problem. Wait, okay,
Jesus
hold on.
fucking
How about
Christ.
This? Yes, he's letting Christ-
Brento's been waiting patiently. He's been waiting very patient. Let's get it
No,
out.
it's not. It's not. The thing is, if these were videos of teachers who were saying like, I'm gonna teach all these kids like my religion, like my religion, and then there was a site or a group aggregating these and showing these to people, and those teachers got fired. None of you who have a problem with the Libs of TikTok would have a problem with any of that at all. You wouldn't.
Yeah, because you
You'd
just got two
applaud. You'd
entirely
applaud.
different
Yes, this-
situations.
No,
That
it's
is
not.
Do you think
completely unrelated?
trying to convert
not.
someone? No, trying to convert someone to your religion is trying to actually convert people. Saying that you're gay, saying that you're trans, is not trying to convert straight and cis people to be gay or trans. These are worlds apart. It's embarrassing that you would
Yeah,
make that
but that's
analogy.
not the only thing. That's not the only thing that was like, ever done in any of these videos that are aggregated.
Well, that's what they said was grooming. It doesn't matter.
not the only
They said
thing
those
they're
things were
saying is grooming.
grooming. Yeah.
So are we saying they were
said those things
justified
were
on the
grooming. It
Libs of
doesn't matter that they're
TikTok,
only
the
things.
released information,
that
or not?
qualifies as grooming. That qualifies as grooming to this account. And you just made that dumb fuck analogy. That, like, coming out as gay is grooming kids into being gay.
No, I didn't say that. That's how you took it.
You made the analogy. You made the analogy that coming out as gay is the same thing as like trying to
No, I didn't
convince
say
your
that.
entire
I didn't
class.
say
to
that.
So what was the
That was
grooming
your
reference you were
analogy, was it
referencing?
not?
Yeah, what's the grooming reference?
You're the one who brought it up.
I'd never say grooming.
I'm pretty sure you did.
did.
But- well,
I said
okay.
doxing.
No,
Are you lying, dog?
Okay, so the reason that the term
If I
grooming
said
came
grooming,
up
then
is
I'm not talking about grooming. My apologies about that. I apologize. My main thrust, my main argument is that the Libs of TikTok was not engaging in doxing for reposting things that people have publicly posted. That is not doxing.
So-
and that is not
so-
abuse.
So when did the information get added in? It wasn't actually by the Libs account. It was by a secondary account or an original account from the original post. Where did the actual personal information come in? Who added it and when?
So, okay, hold on, stop. The argument is about targeted harassment. The argument is that they are reposting this content to 800,000 fucking followers and even more people who are going to retweet, who are people that are giving personal information, and the editorialization of the content is going to lead people to have very awful opinions of these people and think they're groomers. If you look, Libs of TikTok groom, they use groomer constantly, talk about how people want to make you a fucking groomer, okay? And then they are posting videos. It's the idea is you're leading somebody. It's like a video essay where it's like, hey, the whole world is evil and the whole capitalism is the whole problem for everything, and the only way we're going to fix things is by revolting. I don't know what you. I don't know. You should like and subscribe. I don't know what you should do next. The next step for some people is going to be obvious. I should report this person. I should call them a groomer in the chat. I should harass them in their messages. That's the argument of why it's bad. Nothing about doxing.
So was there personal information released with these videos or not about some of the people in the video?
Yes, because the people would be like, I'm
Well,
Bimbo.
that's what I was talking about.
I'm Bimbo Timbo, and I work at fucking this high school, and this is
Yeah, but
why I talk
like
about
the
my kids.
Spirit. That's the spirit of like doxing and first harassment. It just
Harassment.
was like personal information. Yeah, they say where they say their names, they say where they work, but that's a very different conversation. Like, we could talk about doxing. I actually seriously don't think that that's doxing, but I do think it's harassment, and that's what we're focused on.
Yeah, so like we got to get off of this doxing train, right? We're stuck on this. Like the reason why this account is toxic is because of what they've just said, is that it was posting these videos, right? That people people created, but also saying, hey, these are groomers, they're grooming children, right? They are pedophiles, right? They are attacking your kids. And what do you do when someone is like grooming your kid for sex, right? You want to take action. And possibly violent action. And then it's weird that just happens to be LGBTQ individuals that they've been targeting, which is exactly what the right has been doing, right? Talking about how in public schools, kids are getting groomed there, and that how they're being indoctrinated into like being trans. Like this nonsense, this like fever dream is happening on the right. We see it in their legislation. We see it in the speeches. We see it in the news. And that's what this person was pushing. They were doing exactly that, attacking individuals, not just like the trans in general, right? But like literally individual people, and saying this is a groomer. That's why they're a fucking problem.
Did I miss a piece where, because I didn't see that, the Libs of TikTok account, I was under the impression that account reposted with basically no editorial, no context.
No, there, especially in the past 4 to 6 months, there's been so much commentary, like there's so much editorializing.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they
from
regularly use the word groomer
TikTok
on the account. Yeah,
or
that's
from
undeniable.
other people, or from other people or other accounts about content.
April 13th. It's a video of some lady talking. I'm not going to watch the video. Parents need to stay the fuck out of the classrooms. That's a quote from the video. And then this is the Libs of TikTok person, just I'll put it in chat. This is what the left really thinks. Listen when they tell you. They want to take your kids to groom and indoctrinate them behind your back. I would say this is probably the perfect example of what I have a problem with here. What's the conclusion to this, bro? I'll put it in everything. The conclusion to this person's a fucking pedophile, and that you should probably go follow the link that's on the chat, and you should go harass them, bro.
He's right about this.
Can I propose a hypothetical scenario? Let's say that I start a TikTok account called Root of the Problem, and it says that I think that the problem in our society is that we are teaching white people to be racist because there's so many white supremacist history teachers. And let's say that I start reposting TikToks of history teachers from around the world and videos that students take in class of alleged white supremacist activity of teachers and teachers making white supremacist arguments, and I was framing them in very disingenuous light. I think we can all agree here that maybe there might be some harassment and some cancellation that those featured teachers would face. Those teachers might be like, hey, I was talking about slavery for fucking 5 lesson plans, and
this happens. You don't have to imagine it's a hypothetical.
Yeah. Of course,
it's called Doxtalk, right? It's called Doxtalk, where they do this to
course.
people and individuals, and they
But
go
this is
like
bad,
our
right?
exorcism these things, and they do the same thing, right?
Okay, so Brento, it's bad when Libs of TikTok
It's harassment.
do it, right?
If it's
bad.
anytime you're misrepresenting, of course it's bad.
Okay, well, hold on. One of the arguments you use a lot, Brento, against censorship is that different people have different lines of what misinformation and what disagreeable content is. Would you agree that maybe this entire idea of having these fucking TikToks that just have very editorialize and clip TikToks to show you the most hyperbolic extremist other side, maybe these are bad because people have
think
different.
It's insanely toxic. Yes.
Yeah, because people have different levels.
So it's all fair use, though, isn't it, Kobe?
I don't give a fuck if it's illegal. I'm saying
Your
more.
definition. You set up the scenario, though. I'm responding to your scenario. You said you intentionally misrepresent in the scenario. I'm not saying you do in real life, but in the scenario you just gave.
Yeah, because I'm talking about Libs of TikTok, but I would talk about Libs of TikTok. But I would even say even if Libs of TikTok posted the entire video with no editing at all and no misrepresentation, you could make the argument of targeted harassment.
I don't think if people are posting it publicly on Instagram to be consumed and like shared, then if someone says, "Hey, look what this person posted and look what they're sharing," I don't think that's targeted harassment.
Is there a quote tweet that makes it harassment? If it's just retweeting, that's just retweeting.
Is a quote tweet where you say something.
It's the commentary bit, like Kobe just demonstrated. He quoted one of the commentaries that the Libs of TikTok added to the video and put it in a very. Framed it in a very disingenuous context. If I'm just retweeting a tweet, no matter how big my Twitter account is, that's not harassment, right? Like we could agree.
True. Yeah. 100%.
And so the problem, again, I'm not super familiar other than tonight in the article that was linked in the VC chat and Prime's Discord, which you should go to his Discord and read for yourself. Everyone should in chat. Again, I have a problem with what they're doing. I think it's harassment. I think it's immoral. I think it's wrong. I think they should not do this. Just as I would say, if they're like Dox Talk, who does that to right-wing individuals who will go out and try to paint academics and paint individuals as racists or molesters or white supremacists or whatever. They do this. This is also bad and immoral and wrong. We shouldn't do this across the board.
For Kobe posted the link in the thing. I just read it. In this context, is groom maybe not being used the same way you think it's being used?
At some point, I think maybe this is my bias.
Grooming to an ideology, is that a thing or is that not a thing? I'm a monkey. I live under a rock.
So no, I think that in the context of when you accuse a teacher of grooming a student, in 99% of case scenarios, that's going to have at very least some kind of abuse element to it. If it's not overtly sexual.
Indoctrinate though,
Yes.
they're used together right there.
Yes, they're going to try to groom your kid into certain actions, and I'm assuming what it's saying is they're going to groom them into thinking certain actions are okay, and indoctrinate them into thinking certain ideas are okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're on the same page then.
No, we're not on the same page because like if you're not in the right-wing fever swamp, then like you're not gonna get it, right? Like it's not gonna be obvious to you. But they are constantly talking about grooming children there, right? Like that others are grooming children and attacking, right? And especially in the QAnon clique, right? This is a big thing in which there's pedophiles everywhere. The Democratic Party is a bunch of pedophiles. Like, go to the fucking pizzeria, shoot it up, because in the basement there's a pedophile ring obviously being run out of fucking pizzeria, and Hillary Clinton was talking about in the emails, right? Like, this is in that context. So you outside of it, right? I think you can make that reasonable jump. I see what you're trying to do, right? Maybe they mean something different, right? But no, it means exactly what you think it does, because that's exactly what they've been doing. And they've been doing this. They've been on this train for years, So it's under in that mindset you have to look at these things.
Okay, because me personally, I'm all about both Occam's razor and Hanlon's razor, which is, the simplest answer is usually the most correct, and don't attribute to malice what can easily be explained by ignorance.
But you have to understand context.
Okay,
right?
yeah, but hold on. That is like what we'd apply for like one. Well, okay, we'd apply that for like one instance, not repeated behavior.
I'm not saying that specifically about this instance. I'm saying that's where I'm coming from. That's my frame of trying to.
You shouldn't.
What am I
ignore
seeing
malice
right now?
because stupid exists. That's.
Stupid does exist, and that's why it's usually not malicious. It's usually stupid that takes care of a lot of things that you think are handled by malicious.
But then that would be ignorance then.
Yeah, stupid is ignorance in a colloquial and/or.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Like Kobe said, if this were just an isolated incident, but again, this is something that, to bring it back to the actual situation at hand, that I think this goes beyond. It wasn't stupidity. This was actually very clever. It was a targeted campaign of harassment and to shift the narrative. So that the right wing can get certain bills passed that are anti-LGBT in nature. I agree that that's what's happening. That's what Libs is a propaganda piece, right? It's a propaganda machine that is very effective in what it does.
Is it not a guy who finally caught a niche on how to grow a Twitter?
One more time?
You lost me at this was a coordinated campaign of harassment.
You would agree?
I think it's just a dude who finally
correct?
caught a niche on. Let me repost some what I think is dumbass lib talking points on TikTok. I think it's a dude who caught a niche and he's like, "Oh man, yeah, my Twitter's now on fire." That's what I think this is.
Number one, it's a woman. Okay, it's very sexist of you to not understand a woman can be a right-wing reactionary dipshit as well. Okay, women can be right-wing reactionary dipshits, good as men can be. Okay,
and she could be AstroTurf too.
So
but this is always propaganda. We all agree. Debate board, you agree? Debate board, you're good. It's propaganda, right?
Of course, it's propaganda. Just like what these teachers are presenting in their classrooms is also propaganda. All right. So we need to acknowledge that what teachers are doing in these classrooms is not simply teaching a first grader that, oh my, little Susie over here could actually be one of 72 other genders. That's not what is actually going on in the classroom. And we see it from these videos. That is what the great community service that is happening here is all about, is it's exposing what teachers are actually doing in these classrooms. For months, all of you guys here on panel, well, most of you here on this panel have been asking, well, where are the examples of this propagandizing, this indoctrination going on across the country? And here we have it. We see all of these videos revealing what's going on in these classrooms, and you guys want to just stick your head in the ground and be like, oh, well, it's just a few. It's just
hold on.
It's propaganda.
Here's my actual argument. This is the right wing. This is the right wing's plan, biting themselves in the ass. Where conservatives across this country have defunded and pushed funding away from public schools so much so
No, they haven't. No, they haven't.
We can talk about it later. I'm arguing that is true. It's so much so that many people, especially a lot of fucking upper middle class white liberals, the only place to get their kid a really good education is at a private fucking school. And at the end of the day, private schools can teach your kids all kinds of crazy fucking shit. There are private schools that teach kids conservative shit, and there are these private schools that teach this kind of shit. I don't like that, but that's a bigger problem with private schools.
Are you talking the last like 2-3 years, Kobe?
I'm talking. I mean, no, I'm going back like 1980.
Yeah, this is
okay. We're not like during.
No, yeah.
Forcing parents out.
It's not the MAGA people necessarily. I'm just going very long.
There is a group
the MAGAs.
of very conservative people who want to abolish public schools. I think that view has even been stand on this channel before, that they just want to abolish public schools in general.
This was literally, I remember like watching a Bill Maher episode from the 1990s in which somebody was arguing this on it, talking about schools, which is we're going to have little liberal schools and liberal conservative schools, and people are going to be taught different things, and we're going to lose it. We're going to have it. We're going to have arguing that we're going to have a big culture. And I think that this is part of it. We have these schools that have no regulations or have less regulations, and they can teach your kids stuff that we find disagreeable.
Like how to do math the right way?
How to do math the right way?
Oh, dig on Common Core.
Hey. Whether or not math is racist, whether or not America, whether or not America treated the Native Americans correctly, there's all kinds of schools that teach crazy shit that we can't control.
But I just have a question for debate board real quick. Do you think that coming out as LGBT to your class or whatever is the same as propaganda? I disagree with that entirely. I don't think that's propaganda at all. That's revealing.
What I would say is that it is absolutely inappropriate for teachers to be imposing their gender identity and their sexuality on kindergartners, first graders, second graders, third graders, and injecting that into their classroom content.
And homeschool your
comes my point.
No. Stop.
What?
These children are captive
why
audiences.
They
can't
know what
leave.
happens in your pants.
They have not yet developed a critical mind to actually think about what's actually being presented to them. And these teachers are taking advantage of these captive audiences. And in fact, I actually relish in some of these videos watching some of these people express their anguish about, oh, it's so hard coming out to my second graders, yada, yada, yada. You know what? That's not your role. Your role is not to be there to express your sexual identity and sexual orientation to these children.
If a teacher announced they were getting married, traditional marriage, would you feel the same if someone said, hey, gang, like, hey, class, I just got engaged. Hooray for me. Like, would you say that's indoctrination or propaganda or inappropriate?
And my teachers didn't do it.
No, I think that's setting the bar too high. Like,
this is funny. So Wick, there was somebody and somebody else's discourse. I forget who it was, who was saying, oh well, the teachers shouldn't be wearing wedding bands to the classroom anymore, and female spouses should not be taking their husband's name and being referred to as Mrs. because that's indoctrinating heteronormality or some bullshit like that.
That's dumb. Whoever was saying that is dumb.
Exactly. So you know what? I would agree that my gym teacher coming in and saying, hey, I just took my fiance for a weekend up to, I don't know, Lake Tahoe or something else would be inappropriate. You know what? My kids aren't there to learn about your weekend plans. Go fuck off. Now teach some physical education.
They're there to teach you social skills there too, which sounds like you didn't get very much of.
Part of education is building a relationship.
Hold on.
Class, right?
He scuffed. What do you mean by that? You thought you were being clever there. So what do you
no.
mean by that? They're there to teach social skills.
What do you think?
So
like
that's
half.
the open
Okay,
door.
what is early childhood
sexual
development
identity.
about? What is early childhood development about?
Tying your shoes.
Show up on time. Be responsible. Be courteous. Be respectful. Listen.
Which
be attentive.
Are all what?
That's not an open door to tell me that you're gay, bisexual, transgender. It's weird
That's-
that you
they're
think
all
it is,
social
but
skills.
okay.
So what I'm saying is, like, I remember my 3rd grade teacher saying that they were getting married and actually made a whole deal out of it and had us help do the engagement, you know, the whole proposal or whatever. And it fucking was I remember that shit. I will never forget that shit. But I think that it was not harmful for me to see a grown woman and man get married. Like it didn't affect me at all. It didn't change my perspective on anything. And I don't think it would equally do the same thing if it was 2 men or 2 women.
Are we going to call speaking and language a social skill in this context?
Again, we're missing the point here. It's not about social skills. It's about building a relationship with your class, and you should,
Exactly.
as an educator, build a relationship to a small degree
Building a
with
relationship with
your
your
class.
classroom
Like,
doesn't
it
open the
makes
door to
education
to
better.
teach your sexuality, to teach
It's
your
not
gender
teaching
identity.
sexuality
Hold
to say,
on.
hey, gang, I'm
Yes, it
gay.
is.
That is not teaching sexuality.
Just to play devil advocate here, what if it conflicts with the religious views of the family? And they already know that the school syllabus is something that's in line with their views, but once you start deviating from the syllabus, it starts to go into a place where religiously it's
Go to
not
a private religious school.
Like,
So-
what do you mean? Like, if someone's identity conflicts with someone's religious views? I mean, I don't think that that's a valid reason to.
You could say that for
force
about having
someone
gay
to teach their-
teachers.
Yeah,
having
like,
a gay teacher. Like I'm sorry, like we're getting really close to basically saying, like, I feel like, and maybe you're gonna call me for being hyperbolic. We're just saying we should like, if you're a gay teacher, it's literally don't ask, don't tell. Is what you're at. Say for teachers.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to exist.
No, okay, hold on. No, that's not Brittany. Are you
I think
just
that's hyperbolic response.
stop, Brittany, or debate board? Would you seriously defend this position? As a policy of don't ask, don't
Yeah.
tell for.
Yeah.
I would
That's-
say
that's pretty
don't
crazy.
ask, don't
Oh,
tell
no,
across
if
the board. Again, I don't need
you're
my
talking about
male
middle-
teacher
what-
telling me about
what-
his weekend plans with his
What
fiance.
about for religions?
Are you asking me about
In a public school,
Don't
a
ask, don't
regular
tell
public
religion?
school?
Why would we talk
Like, you
about? Why
can't
are they
bring
talking
up-
about religion in general at a public
Man,
school?
oh, dude, I don't know. Why would you talk about religion during history class? I don't know. I don't know why you would do that. I don't know why.
Your personal religion, not the religions
Yeah,
of history. Don't be
yeah, a
stupid.
good.
You know
Yeah,
that's
no,
the
I'm not
religious
being.
separation.
Shut the fuck up. I'm talking. I'm sorry, not trying to be all debates, right? Yeah,
Oh,
but
Kobe had a moment of anger.
I know exactly. I know.
Point.
A good teacher is going to
One
relate.
of us.
Exactly. A good teacher is going to relate their the things you're teaching to their personal lives. The people.
Like, why
No,
why
that's
would that make them a good teacher?
add context.
Because-
add context.
so-
So, for example,
so-
if you're teaching about Christianity, and say, as a Christian, I've experienced this, that, and the other, that makes the point more powerful. It's more persuasive, right? And that's part of education, is to persuade.
I mean,
is to teach children, right?
There you
I'm
go,
sorry.
persuade, Wick, and that's exactly what they're trying to do, is persuade this radical gender ideology that there's 72 genders out there.
You're relating the
Neopronouns,
religion
et
point.
cetera,
to
et
stop.
cetera.
Stop. Hold on.
That's the
Stop.
main point, Wick.
Okay, I'm sorry.
There you go.
This is something that's
Debate
internally.
board, debate board. Someone paid to mute you for 10 minutes.
Okay, but before he mutes, I just want, like, before he just something that's really fucking frustrating to me as an LGBT person is that, like, I feel as if the very basis of my identity is being called into question whether or not, if I became a teacher, whether or not I should be under a policy of do not ask, do not tell, because a hypothetical person might argue for 70,000 genders, a position that is probably held by like 10,000 people in all of America. Like I think like these hyper fringe gender ideology positions are not common. They are not common on the internet, and not which is already an uncommon space, right? Or already like it's already uncommon. Like I think that's so crazy that we use the most extreme examples of the crazies on my side to say that my identity can't be talked about at all in the classroom. But I would never say that we can't talk about American nationalism because somebody might become a Nazi. I would never say that's our word.
But Kobe, isn't it on you that you made that literally what you just said? You
Wait,
made it your
wait,
identity.
they're talking
No,
about
stop.
themselves
No.
being a Nazi. They're
I would
talking about
love-
themselves being a
I would
white
love-
nationalist.
I would
mean,
love
that's ridiculous.
I would love to answer that question. I actually, in myself, do not.
You said
find-
you made it your identity. That's what I'm
Stop.
saying.
Stop. I would answer the question. I actually do not like the fact that I live in a society in which my gender identity and my specifically the fact that I'm sort of a not straight man is so important. It is something that plays in so much in my social media interactions. I would love to live in a society in which we were much more asexual in our sort of public life. I would love that, but I do not live in this society. I did not make this a part of my identity. A society that has told me that I should live certain ways, I should act certain ways, I shouldn't act certain ways because of a irrelevant fact of my body, a irrelevant fact of the way my mind works. That
Wait,
is what has caused this.
What are you?
It sounded like you said
probably like asexual,
you made
like
it
some
part.
religion. I don't know.
You made it the
has been-
majority of your
no.
identity is what I heard you say. Maybe, but I'm mostly
maybe
deaf
that's what I
also.
said, but maybe that's what I said, but that would be my
Not-
position here. In that, maybe that's what I said, but that'd be my position here. I do not like the fact that when people, oh, you're gay. Oh my God, you dated a guy. I don't like that. It makes me feel very uncomfortable. It makes me feel very objectified. I actually, in fact, feel. I guess it happens more than I would.
I'm the
ever.
biggest
Then you're
gorilla,
don't ask, don't tell as well.
weightlifting.
Shut the
you've
fuck.
ever
No,
met.
I'm not for. Don't stop. I'm obviously
Hey, we
I'm obviously
all
not.
saw it.
No,
We all heard it, Kobe.
I'm obviously not. Shut the fuck up. That's actually so incredibly offensive. The don't ask, don't tell is a policy that is supposed to.
I think it's a great policy.
Is a policy supposed to suppress one's identity. I do not want.
Yes.
I do not want my identity suppressed.
She's trolling you.
I know that it is, but I know that it is. I know that it is, but I have enough
What do you
self.
think
I know that it is, but I
happens?
know that it is, but I know that it is.
Stop. Kobe, respond to that.
I know it is, but I have enough self-respect to be able to defend myself and defend my position as an individual. I do not want to live in a society in which I feel as if there is social awkwardness in which I bring this up. I do not want to live in a society in which I feel I don't want this to be a topic of conversation. But I happen to. That I do. I just that is the truth. In my perfect society, it wouldn't be that people wouldn't talk about their sexuality. It would be that people would not have the same kind of cringe reactions. That people would not be asking me personal questions about my life, or people wouldn't be telling me that I'm wrong for having these urges.
Don't stop talking. Like Jesus Christ.
Okay.
All right. So do you think like what are your thoughts on even just like straight people and like constant PDA? Do you think that's like, I mean...
Yeah, no, I actually get called a Puritan. Prime contestants, I've been called Puritan on the channel multiple times. I actually don't, no, I don't think so. I don't think it's abuse or grooming or anything like this. It's not my place to say, but if I see somebody, if I see a couple that's being overtly, heavy petting in public,
dry humping each other at lunch.
I will avert my eyes.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if
I
anything gay or not.
agree with that.
What was my opinion about straight? I love straight people. I love homophobic people.
Oh my
I love gay
God!
people
You
and
don't have
trans
to
people.
go in for a 10-minute tangent every time I ask a question.
I love doing it though. I love it so much fun.
I have a straight cousin, and like he gets really fucking gross with his wife now. It's just like what the fuck?
Oh, he's straight.
I don't like PD. I think PDA is gross in general. But what I think like sometimes with a lot of gay couples or whatever, it's like they do it to make people feel uncomfortable just to get a reaction. Then they can be like, play the victim card.
Repeat what you just said. Stop. Repeat just what you said. That's one. I think
I'm saying that what I see is that you see a lot of gay couples that are like almost purposely going above and beyond with their PDA, more so than straight couples, and are shocked when they get the reaction that it seems like they're trying to provoke from people.
No, that is ridiculous. I think that like with any group, there are people that are cringe, and I think that there are people that dress inappropriately and go to different places that are both gay and straight and every type of sexuality. The idea that the average gay person is going to do things that might bring about them harassment or condemnation for their sexuality is ridiculous.
In public? Why in public? Like do
straight
this
people.
is what I'm saying.
Why in public for straight people? Why for straight people?
Yeah, and I don't like that either.
Stop. Okay, shut the fuck. Stop. The problem I have here, Brittany, is that
I don't see it as much as straight couples.
Stop. Okay, it doesn't matter because you're looking. That's your answer. You're looking for it. It's the real answer. Okay, it's the real answer. You're looking for it. You're predisposed to fucking notice. It's the actual answer. But beyond that, you're prescribing to gay people more like negative intent and almost a malice. They're trying to get this reaction versus straight people just be kissing each other. But gay people, the fucking gays are doing it because I know it's.
So when they were doing that, what was that like? That there was like freaking 2 weeks of panels on this when they were doing like that.
That is festival, an online. That is a completely online position.
Wait. Hold on a second. No. I'm talking about that. They had like those festivals where they were like in like praise. Like
King Cat Pride.
Thank you, Prime.
The position that I'm saying is online. The position that I'm saying is an online position where the people that were arguing that you can have any kind of sex act, you should be naked in Pride. That is not common. I have gone to multiple prides and.
That is like a thing that like seems to be happening. It's like they're going on public. It's like
a vast majority of those pictures come from something called the Folsom. A vast majority of those pictures come from something called the Folsom Street Fair, which is a fair that happens in San Francisco. That happens actually, I think it's either a month before or a month after Pride. That's actually a BDSM. It is a sex thing, and they are. Honestly, I'm not trying to be rude. They're degenerates, bro. They literally like fuck in public. They piss on each other. They're gross. I don't support that shit. But they're not. That's not the pride.
Even if you go to like gay bars and stuff, it's like so overtly.
If you go to a bar, you're gonna see people.
Why?
Bro,
why are they doing that? Why are they doing that?
The most popular form of dancing. One of the most popular forms of dancing. My entire life at clubs is a girl shoves her ass in a guy's dick over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Oh, fucking straight people.
Expression of
Shut the fuck.
And,
Yeah, Brittany. You're literally saying, well, if I were to go to a gay bar, I'm going to see gay drunk people fucking, and that's because they're doing it to make straight people angry. You're experiencing psychosis right now, Brittany.
No,
You're
I'm not.
psychosis.
No,
Okay.
you're gaslighting me. Oh my
I do
God.
want to.
You're gaslighting me.
when debate war becomes unmuted in 3 minutes, I actually do want to engage with him on this topic, because this is the heart of the matter, right? Is that how you view this account's behavior depends on like what you think. Like, if you think there's a gay agenda, right? If you think that they are like not grooming, or I guess indoctrinating people within these schools, right? Like, if you think it's a bad thing, right? If you think you're doing harm to children, if you honestly believe that, then of course you're going to think that this account, Libs of TikTok, is doing God's work. But if you don't believe that, if you think that, you know, that a person just speaking about their, you know, sexuality in like the most general terms, like people usually do, right? Not like about like how their husband thrust inside of them, you know? It's more like, hey, me and my husband, we went out to we had a vacation. That's why we were gone last week, right? Here's our pictures, right? And our pictures just happened to feature like me, the male, with my husband, another male, right? Doing fun stuff together, right? Not even making out, but fun stuff together. There are some people in this world who will look at that and say, like, that's indoctrination. The fact that you were featuring this non-heterosexual lifestyle, right? That's a problem. So I want to engage with debate board when he comes out of mute for that. But until then, Wick and anyone else who wants to join in.
Yeah, so we mistake this all the time. Education is not indoctrination, right? Like, when you simply let it be known that, hey, when you express yourself, it is not necessarily indoctrination, right? And obviously you can go overboard with these things, and people do all the time with religion and their sexuality and all sorts of things. But on the aggregate, there is no agenda for the gays to get to your kids or anything like that. That is not happening. What they're trying to do...
There was literally a fucking song about it. What are you talking about?
Well, what they're trying to do is educate people that there are different sexualities, and that is all. That is not indoctrination. That is not propaganda to your children. And if a teacher wants to say, hey, I want to come out to my class, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. Maybe it's a little cringe.
Why are they
Maybe
doing that? Why are they coming out to their class?
That.
And how old are their kids that they're coming out to?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yes,
Why?
It does matter. It matters.
Why do we use Mr. and Mrs.? We might as well just say last names.
Scuff, you want to say something?
We don't want to talk about gender identity. We don't want to talk about sexuality, because we're making it all about sex, right? So why do we use Mr. and Mrs.? Why are we using that formal?
Why do we keep
setting?
changing the rules and like expecting everybody to keep up with these like new rules that are constantly changing? No, nobody's no way. We are trying to keep the rules that are same.
Teachers have been talking about being Mr., Mrs. They've had
that's what the normative for years. And now we're trying to make up all these new freaking things.
No. Let me speak. You're making the rules by saying that you want don't ask, don't tell in the classroom. You are making a new rule, because as of right now,
I want don't ask, don't tell everywhere. I don't want it just in the classroom. I want it everywhere.
Well, you shouldn't talk about any of your personal life ever to anyone, because that's like literally what that is.
It's obviously not what she's saying, but
then what is she saying? She's saying if you're gay, you shouldn't tell anyone.
I don't want to. Go ahead.
I think what she's saying is that she's saying we're changing it too quick. It's too quick, the change. She's not saying it should be done.
What change? What change?
We're adding new information. People weren't teaching kids about gender 22 decades ago.
We
agree on that, right?
Fucking years ago.
Yeah, people are just starting to get used to gays getting married now, and we're pushing all the trans stuff. We're pushing all these pronoun shit. We're pushing now. It seems like the P is going to be added any minute. I mean, how many of you guys are ready for that P?
Shut the fuck up. That's so bad.
No, it's not.
That is absolutely
fucking
really. So the Mr. Girl.
equating...
Hold on a second. The Mr. Girl rounds that were going around. We actually had this question that we were asking: what is worse to platform, racists or pedophiles? And do you know how many lefties were saying it's worse to platform racists because racism is a choice? They were what they do is they
You are on,
start to.
listen, Brittany, you are on so many levels of psychosis that you actually think that because someone thinks a racist is worse than a pedophile, that they think that they're going to let pedophiles have the same rights as gay people.
Well, no,
what
this
the
is
fuck is
what
wrong
happens.
with you guys?
But no, hold on a second. This is what the slippery. Hold on. This is what the slippery slope is, though. You start to make this person into a. Shut the fuck up, you.
Let her finish.
So you start to make this person into a sympathetic figure. Okay, well, it's not their choice. They couldn't help it. They need therapy. They need this. They need that. We should start to feel bad for them. That's how you start to ease people in and get their minds adjusted to, okay, now this is like a sexuality, and we need to it becomes a protected class. I mean, where is it going to end? I don't know, because it's a little fucking scary. I used to think that. Shut the hell up, Cody. Seriously, you have like a problem. You're okay.
Why does it matter? Why does it fucking matter?
Whoa. Let Brittany finish, please, Brittany.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, I used to think that it was like a crazy thing that like I would hear right wingers talk about how, oh yeah, they are going to be adding the P or this and that. I thought it was all hyperbole. I thought they were being alarmist until the whole Mr. Girl thing started, and I started to see the reactions that people were having towards him, and how much people really like were eating it up and liking him and normalizing all this stuff. All right, now go.
Were people? I don't know. I didn't see a response. I thought everyone universally was not responding.
Yeah, didn't he get banned because a lot of people mass reported him and things
Also,
like that?
this narrative is literally 1 IQ. The idea that Mr. Girl's presenting some sort of LGBT expansive argument. Mr. Girl literally came onto the scene because he was arguing with Destiny about whether or not trans people exist. He has multiple videos about that critique the idea that trans people is even a thing, and he has a video called The Gender Narrative in which he argues that there is basically a trend of just psychologists all agreeing and not wanting to get called transphobic. The idea that he is for expand is absolutely not. If anything, he is critical of the expansion of the LGBT label, and is more so believes that it should just be G and L.
I'm not saying
I never
that
talked to
he's the one
Mr.
who's
Girl.
pushing for
Didn't
it.
not give a shit about Twitch.
It will happen.
I'm saying that seems to be the road that it's going down if it keeps going.
I have a
that
question.
way. That's why people are worried about the slippery slope. Yeah.
I have a question. Wouldn't you agree that a lot of like sex positive leftists talk a lot and are kind of obsessed about the idea of consent?
What do you mean?
Like whether or not you have affirmative consent. There was a whole thing a couple years ago about like consent forms that people would sign. It's a big thing in education.
I mean,
like, for example, the Libs of TikTok use the idea of consent as an argument of this is part of the indoctrination. This is part of LGBT, pro LGBT language, whatever. Like, the idea, if you're arguing that this is the road we're going down, it seems that the very principle that would need to be violated in order for pedophiles to be accepted into the LGBT label is the idea of consent. You would have to stop caring about consent, because ultimately that is what makes pedophilia an immoral action, is you cannot consent with a person. It seems as if you need to argue that progressives are caring about consent less for them to be arguing that pedophiles have any right to have civil rights like any other LGBT person.
So what happens when they start saying that kids can consent?
Who is saying this? Who is saying this?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Tennessee Republicans?
What happens if that's where it goes down?
We can look in the history, and actually there was a trend in the 1960s and 1970s of child psychologists that were arguing that children had much greater levels of consent, that sexual development, blah blah. This was a big thing, and it fell out of practice, and it fell out of popularity because there wasn't empirical evidence to it. It was not something that caught on in psychology.
You think that because that's happened in the past that things can't change in the future?
I think things can change in the future. I think things can change in the future, but I would need to see evidence of cultural change in that direction. And if anything,
I would say that you're seeing it with the direction that all this stuff is going in general.
If anything, if you go on, just Destiny just 2 days ago had a stream where a 15-year-old was being called a pedophile because he sent a message to someone who thought was 13, who was actually 12. So if anything, people still have this hyper ridiculousness about these about like young people in relationships.
I thought it was an 18-year-old to a 15-year-old. I don't know.
I think we're talking about two different things. The one thing I was talking about was being covered by the person Nick Diario, that person that you talked about this one.
Yeah.
But anyways, like that is the trend on places like on places like TikTok and stuff, is actually to accuse everybody of being pedophiles.
This is just the same argument that people made about violence in video games, right? Like the video games were going to indoctrinate our kids and make them all violent and do all these things. And obviously that didn't bear out in data. That wasn't the case. There's no evidence for that. And it's not and to act as if a gay person existing in a classroom and the kids knowing that they are gay is the same thing as
That's a lie.
indoctrination.
Wick, you need to stop. You need to stop with this
I love that
nonsense.
we're
This is
playing the hits
not
from
simply
2000s
about
again.
teachers existing in a classroom and outing themselves to their students. This is bullshit. We see example after example of classrooms being plastered ceiling to floor, wall to wall with LGBTQ paraphernalia, with propaganda materials. We see teachers injecting their sexuality and gender identity into their course curriculum, into their lesson plans. This is not simply Wick, and you must stop lying about this, that children are just being
Where's
told
the lie? What did I say that
gay
was a
people
lie,
exist.
Gabor? Fucking back up your
teachers
point.
are simply existing in the classroom. We see it all over Libs
I
of
said
TikTok.
that the fact that a teacher exists in a classroom and simply tells
But that's
his
not the
students
issue
they're
here,
gay.
and you know it. You're trying to devolve it and reduce it to merely, oh, hey,
conspiracy
it's just an existence of a person in a classroom. That's all this
Well,
is.
debate board, could you do us a favor?
Full of
Could you do us a favor? Could you give us examples of this, of exactly what you're talking about? Because like
It's
I
all-
don't see
we
that
saw
stuff.
it.
So if you
Libs of
could, please.
TikTok. It's all over that.
Just give us
have to
one
look at it.
example. No, give us one definitive example of something we can actually
Sure. The
grab
lady,
onto.
one of the videos there, the lady who had her right before COVID, she took down and removed the U.S. flag from her classroom. She misplaced it, right? And she rolls her eyes in her performative little act that she's doing. And she had her students pledge allegiance to the gay pride flag, right? They didn't know it was a gay pride flag at all. And meanwhile, as she's panning around her room, you see the gray, purple, and blue, whatever the transgender colors are. You see those on one wall. You see the gay pride flag on another. Gay pride buttons and stickers. Shut up, Dan. Look,
Well, I
Dan,
think this is
shut up.
a proof that the
You
Libs
can see
of
the
TikTok,
videos all
was
over the
very
Libs of
effective
TikTok. That's
at
why it's such a
indoctrinating
great
people.
service to the community. It has
Stop.
so many examples of this.
I don't see anything harmful.
Yeah,
about
you just
that.
show.
Stop.
Just,
No,
just
stop. Hold on.
right at it.
We don't need to
Dr.
like.
K,
We,
look, the
there's
point
no
is
reason to
that
reflexively
Wick is
defend
trying
stuff.
to reduce this to merely being a case of a
Can you please
gay
post this?
teacher existing in a classroom.
Can you
Okay?
post this? Because I have a really interesting one question. Was this a public
your
school or
question. Let's go.
was this a public school or was this a private school? Because I would really bet this is some fucking white liberal private school in probably Silicon Valley that's doing this. And I disagree with this. I actually think that kids should not be compelled to raise to do any kind of flag shit at all.
Who cares if it was
I
a
care.
public
I
school?
care
The
because it's
point
our
of the
ability to
matter
stop
is,
it.
Wick-
There's a massive difference between
Wick's
Shut up!
point-
Shut up! I gotta go. Prime, thanks for having me on. You guys have fun. Nate.
The reason
Wick's
that it
point
matters.
is
Stop. The
trying to
reason that it
reduce
matters
this
is
to simply a matter
No.
of a gay teacher existing in a classroom, and it's not what this is about.
Dog, it does matter because you're trying to push a narrative that this is being pushed into schools in general. Whether or not we can find examples of a school, of a private school that teaches something crazy does not lend evidence to that claim. And I would like to see this TikTok in general.
Christ, Libs of TikTok would not even be an issue if there weren't tons of videos just on that one TikTok account showing it off.
Dog,
Teachers
you're
revealing
literally
themselves.
using the argument that
Dog.
people use to reflexively defend Black Lives Matter by going, well, obviously there's a problem of police shooting black people.
Kobe,
There wouldn't be so
calling
many
me
darn
dog
videos.
doesn't erase what we saw
Calling
on
you
that
dog.
account.
I call people
That's
dogs
just
because
one
I said I'm a
example.
cool hip
Weak
hip guy.
argument.
The argument, okay, I just want to point out, everybody, that the argument he's using is literally the argument that like soy liberals use, where they're like, "Oh, really? You want me to prove that black people are killed disproportionately to the police? Well, there wouldn't be so many
No,
videos if
Kobe.
that wasn't true."
The topic of tonight's discussion,
wait, Kobe.
you actually brought it up, Libs of TikTok.
Your face is an argument.
Look at the TikTok account. You see video after video after video after video of these teachers celebrating how they are decorating their classrooms. There you go.
Okay.
With colors.
Okay, that's it.
Oh.
No,
You
see,
like-
now,
you scared
now,
of
okay,
rainbow,
this is
dude?
great because this is the typical lefty progressive reaction. Ooh, they're putting up flags and stickers and they're wearing clothes and coloring their hair. But again, the point that I raised here in response to Wick was that Wick is trying to reduce this to
Yeah, but none
merely
of
being
that's
that,
sexual,
hey,
so
it's
you're
just
the
a
one
gay
that's taking
teacher
it that way.
existing.
Like-
And no, it is not. It is a affirmative action in the classroom with a captive audience of young children who cannot think through this stuff on their own.
And
right?
probably won't make
To
those
present
connections either.
Not just that the person is gay, but this whole gender ideology.
I'm going to quote an article that stop. I'm quoting an article that Doobie linked me. Can we all remember the setup that Debate Board said? Was it a classroom bedecked with LGBT flags? The whole class was compelled to do this. I'm quoting this. I'm quoting.
Can't be compelled to do anything that they.
Okay. Oh yes. Okay. Oh well, the classroom. Stand if you feel like it. Don't stand if you feel like it. Say words if you want. Don't have to say word. Oh my God, this is literally what the person said in the TikTok. Stand if you want. Don't
finish it, Kobe.
Yeah. I'll stand if you like. Don't stand if you feel like it. Don't stand if you feel like it. Say the words if you want. You don't have to say the word. You don't have to say the words. So to my class, decided to stand but not say the words. Totally fine, except for the fact that my room does have a flag. She took them. Like,
is this Kobe endorsing prayer time in schools?
No.
Look, when you watch that video, Kobe. Hey, Kobe, this is great. When you watch that video, what she does is she pans over to the gay pride flag and she opens her eyes wide and I tricked the kids into pledging allegiance to the gay flag. That's the whole performative art behind her video. That is why they do these videos for clout.
Probably just put up that one.
Sorry. Can we understand?
I'm sorry. This is
Prime.
What is the? Okay, so and the worst case scenario here, right? The worst case scenario. Let's give Debate Board here, and thank you for sticking around. Let's give Debate Board here like everything that this woman was tricking kids, right? To saying pledge allegiance to the gay pride flag.
She told them they don't have to.
Yeah, no. Let's say that
she said not
did.
To the US flag.
Let's give them everything just for now, right? What harm is being done to these kids, right? Like, are they now closer to being gay? Are they pushed further along the spectrum? Yeah, like soon enough, husbands for little boys and wives for little girls. Like what happened here?
Prime, without having seen the thing.
The worst case scenario.
Just your question.
What is the harm here?
Just your question is, when you pledge allegiance, you are allegiant to that thing. Whether it's a flag of your nation, well, now
I said pledge of allegiance in my school. I am down to the nationalism in a classroom.
I pledge allegiance to the flag every day, and I'm a lefty now. So
why do people pretend to not know things? It's like, well, what's the big deal? It's just pledging allegiance to a flag. Obviously, if it was a fucking the Southern flag or like the shit like that, yeah, you'd have a big fucking problem with that.
Yeah, but that's a fucking state that fucking failed after trying to defend slavery.
You know the meaning
it's
of
not the same thing.
So then you're saying,
but you can't equate the two things.
But you're saying that flags don't mean anything.
They're not.
You can't equate two flags.
No.
Let
me speak. Let me speak.
You are pretending to not understand something and then immediately understand it in a different context.
No, I'm saying the flags mean nothing. I mean, pledge allegiance mean nothing. Pledge allegiance to the flag every day in fucking elementary school, middle school, and high school. And guess what? I'm a fucking lefty, which in your mind probably means I hate America. So I wonder how that fucking works.
Wait, I'm sorry. I just gotta say, the words that were used by people like Debate Board were indoctrinate and inject LGBT ideology. And what really happened was, a teacher made a cringe video in which he told her class, "You can participate in this video or not. You can say words or not."
It's just a cringe video. It's just a
Keep
one-off.
in mind,
it's just a
No, stop.
It's just a small thing. It's just a little thing.
It's just Debate Board. Okay. I'm back in here. You were arguing with me in chat. What does it mean to indoctrinate kids into LGBT ideology?
Okay.
Interaction with chat is cringe.
I need order here. I need order. Okay. All right. So I want Kobe to finish what he's going to say. I want Debate Board to actually answer my question. I want Jangles to jump back in because I know you've been chopping at the bit. Then Dr. K. All right. Good. And Wick. See. So Kobe, finish whatever point you're making.
Okay, so I'm watching more of this, and honestly, just to remind you guys all, the what was arisen in our minds by a Debate Board was the scene from 1984 where there's the giant screen in the front and there's a bunch of people at the signs and they were all like, "We pledge allegiance." Because that's how you described it. You said the class was all giving the allegiance, and then you said that she scrolled across, and then all the walls were bedecked with flags. I'm looking at this. I'll link this and show you.
Point of order, Kobe. Was your reference to 1984? Was that the 2 minutes of hate or the other one?
Here, I want Kobe to.
I've actually never seen. Oh my God! I've only read the book. I've actually only ever seen the Apple commercial parody of that scene. So I will concede I don't actually
talk about the scene.
It's a giant screen in the movie.
Yeah, it's a big screen.
The
point I'm making is
2 minutes of hate. Yeah.
Yeah. The point that I've been trying to make here is that by bedecked in flags, there's Christmas lights that are above the whiteboard, and there are flags that are like maybe like the size of like of like my deodorant. That's like the size of my deodorant, and they're hanging there. There's bedecked. I'm sorry. There needs to be one flowing flag for something to be bedecked in flags. If there's not something flowing in the wind, this shit's not bedecked in fucking shit. Okay. And number two, if your argument is that this person did something that was, I'll say, not cringe, inappropriate. Yes, I do. I don't think you should be having your students you make content for your fucking TikTok. That does not.
On that.
That is not appropriate.
Okay, all right. So I went to baby.
However, and last thing I want to say is that the claim again was that they're injecting LGBT ideology and indoctrinating kids. If I saw a video of a fucking Maoist indoctrination camp and they told everybody that they're allowed to read the Maoist literature or not, or they can just read whatever they want to read, that's not a very good indoctrination camp. I think that you guys are being a little bit hyperbolic here.
Okay, so I want to
read or say.
Everyone, hold on. I want to give Debate Board space. Brento, if you want to jump in line, I'll give you that as well. But Debate Board, please.
Yeah, Kobe, I won't disagree with you. I think the grooming language is not just hyperbolic; it's just counterproductive. Again, instead of people actually talking about teachers trying to teach that there are 72 genders and that this is radical gender ideology, we're talking about whether or not teachers are groomers, and it's just counterproductive. That the left is actually pissing and shitting themselves all over this after they've spent decades smearing ordinary people as Nazis and racist and sexist is really, it's laughable. I'm laughing my ass off at this. So, all this crying about, people being called groomers, you know what? I'm actually going to borrow one of your tactics, and not yours, Kobe, but the left's tactics. They're groomer adjacent. Is that better? Are you guys happier with this?
What you're saying is you're a man with no integrity.
Perfect. Yeah. But anyway, so Prime, regards to your question, I like the truth, and I'm not a fan of John Money. I'm not a fan of how John Money's work has been used and exploited to create this radical kind of.
Oh, I know a lot about John Money. Would you like me to
this divorcing of sex and gender and imposing this on children in kindergarten, first grade, and second grade when they are particularly vulnerable and impressionable. We're imposing this gender ideology on kids where it just simply doesn't belong. This is not the part of educating kindergarten through third grade, or even sixth grade for that matter. And that folks attempt to kind of wrap it up under general sex education, I think it's a bullshit post hoc rationale for just simply, again, taking a classroom full of impressionable young children and trying to impose on them this it's just an ideology, and that's why I call it indoctrination, because they're literally indoctrinating an ideology.
I'm sorry, you're all online. You're all online. I already got you online. Okay. And I wanted to, like I said before, I just wanted to engage with Debate Board a little bit here. Debate Board. So heart of the matter. Do you think that you can, through nurture, right, make a child gay?
Shit, man, I don't know. I have no idea. I know John Money seems to think that you can culturally encourage kids and young people to become gay, but I don't know. I'm heterosexual, man. I don't know one way or the other.
If you're and I appreciate the honest answer.
And to be honest, I don't actually think teachers are trying to transform my 13-year-old son into a woman or into a gay kid.
Okay.
All right. I think if we're going to tread in this area of biological sex, then that's where we should tread. If we're exploring now gender ideology, we should leave that for the later grades. If and only if we're going to allow actual critical examination of this stuff. But right now, when you're presenting it to K through third, it's accepted uncritically. And when parents or legislators or others stand up and say, "I'm critical of this," then they are given the affirm or suicide mantra, putting it on them that they're causing people and they want to see people commit suicide because they're not willing to allow this ideology to be imposed in the classroom.
Okay, I have more to say to you, but I want to move it on to other people and give them a chance. So let's go to Jangles, Dr. K, Wick, Brantov. Anyone else wants to Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hop out. I'm just hop out. Real
Okay.
Quick. I just want to say,
thank you
I'm
so
sorry
much,
for getting a
Buddy,
little heated.
for-
I just want to say, I'm getting really heated. The only person who was honestly homophobic here to me was Brittany. I just want to say, debate board, Brento, disagree, but we had a good thing. Grumple, Stillskin, same thing. I disagree. I wish we could talk about it more. Sorry for talking a million. Yeah, have a good everybody.
Love you, Doc. I love you, Kobe. And
Stay
thank you
sexy,
for setting
Kobe.
my channel on fire. Okay. Anyone else? All right. So we'll go to Jingles then.
All right, so debate board. Yeah, John Monet was a fucking idiot. He was wrong, and he was wrong in the way that actually supports modern conceptions of trans activism and trans quote unquote ideology. Right? What he was most famous for was like there was this. He would say, "Hey, gender is completely socially constructed. It's all imposed on people. There's no biological component." His most famous experiment was there was a boy with a botched circumcision.
Oh, I understand the experiment. Are you?
Yeah, and like it's okay. And he decided.
Can you explain for the rest of us because I don't know. I never heard this person.
All right, so
Thank you.
So there was a boy with a botched circumcision, and John Monet was like consulted to say like, "Hey, doesn't matter. Generally, is purely socially constructed. There's no biological component, so just raise him as a girl." He had a botched circumcision. Take all that shit away. Raise him as a girl, and you know what? He grew up with extreme gender dysphoria because that's not what gender is. Gender does have a biological component. Gender identity does absolutely have a biological component, and our modern conception of what gender is absolutely rooted in biology. Because what else would it be? Would it be supernatural, cybernetic?
What would it be
other than biology?
The argument is that it's social.
Social. Okay, cool. Language is social. You know what? Language is rooted in biology too. We have a language center in our brain. That's how genes work. Genes exert themselves in an environment. Genes are inert molecules. We are biologically social. Saying it's social is not saying it's not biological.
Oh.
So John Monet is actually not referenced in modern trans literature, in modern trans discussions. He's not referenced at all because trans activists, if that's what we want to call them, realize he was wrong. There is a biological component. There's a deeper meaning to that. So John Monet is not the progenitor of all this shit. And if he is, we've rejected him because his ideas were incorrect based on our understanding of modern science. And your other thing, schools are not introducing this shit on children. It's the other way around. We have a conception of gender by the time we're 2 or 3. And by the time you were 3 to 5, we realize hey, if there's an incongruence between the gender that we're told we are and the gender that we feel that we are, they realize that very early. It's the first social lens that we ever develop. And so trans kids as young as 5 years old absolutely do exist, and they've existed in literature for decades. In fact, that was one of the main components of the ROGD myth. If you actually identify as trans when you're a teenager going through puberty, that's less valid than if you identified as trans from way earlier in your development. So no, when a trans kid shows up to school supported by their parents, it's the responsibility of that school to affirm their gender because you don't want the state imposing values on that kid, do you? That's what science says. If you want science and reason and reality, that's what you do. You affirm that fucking kid. You do not say, I'm not going to use your pronouns because of my ideology. Affirm that fucking kid is the only responsible thing to do.
But my kids, 2 years old, everything's a guy. It doesn't matter if it's a girl or a female or whatever you want to call. Bat guy, like Batman is Bat guy. Everything's guy. Any human form is guy. This is my 2-year-old, just turned 2. My short child, the short one. He's it's so adorable.
It's pretty adorable.
Oh, bad guy, yeah. The taller one, he's 4. He understands a little bit about penis and not penis. That's about as far as toddlers get.
That's as far as I've ever gotten. But thank you so much.
Me too. Seriously, how did this happen?
Let me jump in real quick.
Sure.
We
gotta go Dr. K because she's been waiting.
I'm just gonna play a quick little devil's advocate here, not necessarily because I fully believe this, just because I'm not fully versed in the science behind it all. But we do know that people, and please just hear me out here. We do know that some people transition, realize it was a mistake, and transition back. This does occur, very few. But are we worried that maybe our approach might not be decreasing this event, or it might actually be leading to an increase in that?
Just quick question. You said very few. Aren't there also very few people that transition comparatively?
Yeah, so you're talking
absolutely.
Just so we're talking about numbers. so that everybody understands the same numbers. When we're talking about like things like very few, it's a fraction of
It has a regret rate of less than 1%.
Yeah, like, that's
All of-
beside the point of what he was asking. So yeah, there are people who grow to regret it. Like, absolutely. Like, I do think we need to take detransitioners seriously, but we also need to have a better understanding of why people detransition. It's like there is a small proportion that deserves to be heard. That yeah, they just like, nah, it wasn't the right thing for me, and I absolutely regret it, and I feel like I was betrayed. But the best thing to do is to increase funding and resources for these kids. A lot of the reason that happens is because like these like the Tavistock Clinic is the main example. They weren't given the resources. The wait time for the Tavistock Clinic in the UK is like 2 fucking years. They don't have time to spend with all these kids that they need to spend with them. And so gender affirmative doesn't mean automatically, oh, you say you have any confusion about your gender whatsoever, you're trans.
Wait, Jangles,
John hormone blockers.
just for other people who might be hard of hearing like me, I'm hearing Tavistock cleansing. That's the phrase that I'm hearing.
Sorry, no, that's my fault. Tavistock Clinic.
Okay, that.
Yeah, Tavistock Clinic. That was like the main scandal behind them. They were.
I'm mostly deaf,
inadequate.
so I'm gonna
That's
I'm
fine.
gonna raise the deaf awareness here.
Right. Yeah, hell yeah.
Kind of hear things.
Deaf representation. So the best thing, a gender affirmative approach is about listening to the kid and taking them seriously. And the best thing we could do, a gender affirmative approach is focused on making a happy kid, not a cis kid. If the best thing for that child is that they don't transition socially or medically, the gender affirmative approach will accommodate for that. And also, like, gender isn't a binary. Like, if a kid decides, like, hey, non-binary is my identity, gender affirmative approach will, like, say that, hey, yeah, fuck yeah, just go by they and them pronouns. You don't have to do any sort of, like, medical transitioning if you don't want to. However, it is inarguable that, like, some sorts of gender affirmative care in terms of medically transitioning, in terms of, like, puberty blockers or just social transitioning, and even on their way to, like, hormone therapy, is inarguable good for these kids / adolescents / adults. This is an option that absolutely should exist. And so, like, if any,
it's not
like,
inarguably good though, Jangles.
No,
and I
it's
think
inarguably
I think
good
that's being
for-
disrespectful to
no,
the science.
it's inarguably good for at least some kids. That's all.
Well, thank you for
is
qualifying
against
that.
you.
That's a huge qualification, and I'm glad you made it. Thank you.
The
Yeah, it is a
pediatric
huge
societies of basically every state and the federal government say it's a net good. The science is not on your side here.
Okay.
I want to bring up a
it's-
quick
Prime,
fact.
real quick, I'm
I'm sorry. This is it's stop. Look. Dr. Case twin. Dr. Case waiting patiently, please.
I'm losing my voice a little bit because I don't have good tea. But one, I don't see any harm being done to these kids by, teaching that gay people exist and that we should be accepting of them, and that here's what gender is, and here's what love is, and it's like love can be between all sorts of people, and it's like that. Like, I don't see any harm in doing. Like, the worst outcome is they learn that gay people are okay. So I don't see any danger in doing that. Two, yes, the overwhelming. So what we're going to see, Nub, as acceptance of trans people increases is, and I see this statistic posted sometimes, it's actually quite funny, is the same thing you see with left-handed people, where you're going to see a large increase as they are now socially accepted, and then a plateau as it reaches back to normal levels. Because, it's not that we technically have more trans people now, it's that now they can be public about it. That's basically all that's changing, really. Moreover, the idea that this is some new fad that we're pushing on people is also something that I love to push back against. Trans people are ancient. Famously Weimar Germany had a thriving transgender scene that was in the 30s. The Femminillo is a third gender recognized in Italy as far back as the 1400s. And there are trans people and trans-like identities that have existed literally since, Rome and the ancient ages. And so, like, this idea that it's, this new gender ideology that we're pushing on kids, right, is completely ridiculous. And Egypt, thank you. And the other thing too is that calling it a gender ideology is a great fucking rhetorical flourish, because it's really great at obscuring, you know, what is being taught here, and that's like acceptance of gay people as like a norm of society. And like, if that's what gender ideology is, that's like, who the fuck is against that nowadays? Like, are you out of your
Ideology is
fucking
reserved for deviations from the norm. That's what ideology is.
mind? Exactly. And it's like, all right, well then, you know, is straight is an ideology as well then, right? You know, the gender ideology of heterosexuality is a thing now as well. And like,
literally, homosexuality was coined a few years before heterosexuality. Like, deviation from the norm is diagnostic. It is like the status quo lacks saliency. People don't think that if they believe in what the quote unquote norm is, that they don't believe that they have an ideology.
It doesn't go question and doesn't need to be identified.
Okay. So we'll continue on. Thank you for that, Dr. K. We got a few more people online. We have.
I have very little patience for transphobia right now, mate.
Well, it's a good thing there's no transphobia here. That's great.
Oh,
we should applaud the panel for this.
Man. Fuck off.
We have Wick, who's been waiting quite patiently. Thank you, Wick. Brento, Scuffed, and my man Doobie, who's jumping in the chat. Please, Wick.
So I'll be very, very quick, because most of my points were already hit on by Jingles and Dr. K both, much more eloquently than I could have done, and with much more gravitas than I would bring to the table as someone who hasn't made great studies of these things. However, I will point out that again, when Debate Board, am I crazy here? But you initially came in hot with this take that this ideology is being pushed onto children, that the schools are rife with people, with teachers and educators injecting and trying to turn kids gay. But then later on, you say, well, I don't actually believe that anyone's trying to turn my 13-year-old son gay. I don't actually believe that any of these educators...
Oh, no, you can stop right there, because that's not actually a fair representation or characterization of
these
what
are
I came
both
in
things
as.
that you said.
So there you go.
Yeah,
no,
that's your
actually,
own word,
I didn't.
mate.
Yeah, these are both things that you said. People can
we'll
go
review
back
the
if they don't
VOD,
believe me.
In
And
fact,
check the
I'll call
VOD.
in on
These
your
are
show
things
on
that you
Tuesday.
said.
We'll get it off my chest, and we'll check it out, okay?
Okay, fair enough. But I'm letting you know right now that this disingenuousness that I'm seeing
No.
here,
What you claim is disingenuous is not, in fact, disingenuous at all, because I didn't hold those two positions.
Well, can we be very clear with what
we are imposing and
yes or no?
children.
And maybe we can clear this up really quick right now. Yes or no? Do you believe that there are teachers and educators of a statistically significant number of these people, not just one or two, but
God, how many times are we going to qualify this? Go ahead.
Group that are pushing this agenda to turn children gay or trans? Do you believe that this is happening? Yes or no?
No, their goal is not to turn kids gay or trans.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I mean, that was easy.
Let's go to my man Brento.
Sure. What I had to say was on something we were talking about a little while ago, but in the classroom. But you know, it feels like such a minimization of things when people are like, "Well, it's just a flag. It's just some colors on like a piece of paper or a cloth or something." It's like, no, you're fully aware of what flags mean and what pledging allegiance to ones mean. And if one was, you know, if it was I can't even think of the freaking the flag
the
name, but you know
bars.
the one.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. If that was going on, everyone would be fully aware. No one would be talking about flags not meaning things, just being colors on things. And you know, and this idea that something can happen in a classroom and that people are like, well, you know, we'll just do this in the classroom and some of the kids can stand up and some kids don't. It's like, no, that's ridiculous. Like controversial things or things that shouldn't be taught in classrooms if people are disagreeing or anything that, you know, could be divisive is not justified because you're just going to say, kids, well, you can do it or not. No, it's not. We don't.
No,
we don't just
Berto,
fill
I agree
classrooms
with you.
up with
Flags
such
mean
things.
things. I actually agree
They
with
do
you.
mean
Flags do mean things. What does the pride flag mean?
I think the pride flag. Well, I don't know. I guess the pride flag would be the symbol of the LGBTQ, which would be any.
Cool. Like,
I guess
the
any
symbol-
orientation other than straight.
Cool. So that means something. It's pride flag basically is like it's okay to be gay. If we're just talking about like the normal pride flag, it's okay to be gay. So what is controversial about that?
There's
Is
there's
that what pledging
controversies
means?
about that, but the controversy is whether or not
Should we
people
take
are
them
pledging
seriously?
allegiance to it.
Should we take them seriously if there's controversies about it? We don't take controversy like is it okay to
Depends
be
what the
racist?
controversy is.
Even the anti-CRT legislation says it's not okay to be racist. So like we're
Mhm.
fine pushing that on kids. Like, no, you can't be racist in school. Like, it's not okay to like think one race is better than another. So like, who cares if that's controversial to some parents? So it's okay to be gay. Should we care if some parents disagree with that?
I guess, yeah, of course you should care if some parents disagree with that.
I don't think you should.
Why?
I mean,
Should
you
you care
you have to, because you're teaching their kids, and whether or not you're having their kids pledge allegiance to that flag is an issue.
What if the parents are racist? Should you care about what they think then?
Yeah, you should care about what they think, depending on what they think, sure.
Yeah, they think black
Depending
people
on
are
what they
inferior.
think.
Oh no, wait,
Don't
hold on.
hate me when I say
I'll
this.
frame
Should
this.
there be a straight flag? Don't hate me
No,
for
it's
this.
fucking stupid.
What would a straight flag look like? I just
Well,
don't understand.
They're-
Straight
I feel
flag
like
is
having
having
white
kids.
It's black
we're
and
using-
yellow.
If we're using we're introducing flags in a non-geographic representation, right? We're doing sexuality. Why not cover the whole gamut? I'm not trying to be an asshole here. I'm just trying to be a devil's advocate.
Flags are dumb. I'll say it. Flags
Well,
are
I
dumb.
mean, the gay pride flag does cover the whole gamut. Like the rainbow flag is supposed to be sort of a pan banner to encompass like basically all of us to some extent. Though
I didn't know
there
that.
are people who dissent from that.
Yeah, it's like it's not a non-valid point, but like, why would we need straight pride? Like, do we need that?
Well, if you have full
In the same way-
representation,
no.
it might take away the complaints people have.
Well, so this is
The straights
Take-
need
hold on.
representation.
take
They're
me-
underrepresented, gentlemen.
I will be the
People aren't complaining.
spokesperson. I
I
declare
just need-
myself spokesperson of the straights.
If
Yeah,
only,
I'm dubbing
if
myself
only we could
spokesperson
see
of the
some straight
straight.
people out there, see
Yeah.
them in media, all right? We used to never see heterosexual couples interacting with each other, right?
Yeah, hold on.
Um,
Nub, okay, I want to respond. Nub, I'm not. Please do not. I'm not accusing you of any of this shit, okay? But like, previously, like in the sort of modern KKK, like in the civil rights era, they branded themselves as pro-white. They were just pro-white people. And obviously, like, why do you need to be pro-white people? What hardships have white people faced in the time period that we're talking about? Which, like,
I
the
see where you're going
60s,
with this.
70s?
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm like, obviously, I'm not accusing you of like making that analogy.
I just mean that there's all these new toys on the field, and some people are going, "Where's mine?" And maybe if you just give it to them, they'll shut up. You know, I don't know.
I mean, like the toys we would give to straight people is all media that has ever been produced.
Everybody wants to be on the underdogs team.
yeah, it's
No
like
context.
it's like the old argument. Well, you have the black entertainment channel. Well, they had a white entertainment channel. You mean like NBC, like the fuck?
To speak more
but
to
like,
the point, though.
I
To speak just real quick.
Hold on a second. Well, just one quick second. Thank you, Kobe, for resubbing in 19 months. Thank you, Niasax, for gifting us up to Debate Board here, who is the member of our community. We do appreciate him. So thank you for doing that. We get one more individual person to gift a sub or sub themselves or whatever. We subs the Hype Train, which helps out this channel, supports this content. We've given you a lot of content tonight, right? It's been spicy. If you've been enjoying this, you want to see this continue, be so kind, help us out, sub to the channel, gift bits, or give subs to help us stick around. You'll get ad previewing, and you'll get our emotes and all that, especially emotes in chat. So thank you. All right, please, you can go ahead. Though I do want to, I think there's someone else in line. Is there someone else in line? Yes.
I forgot my
after
point
Brento,
anyway, so carry on. I
Scott,
forgot it.
And then Doobie. So Brento, did you go?
Oh, I just
Yeah,
finished.
you
I
did.
just think that I just feel like it's a minimization of something people recognize has meaning, and I feel like the minimization is to deny the point. So that was it.
Oh, one last thing. So I wanted to engage in this your point about the flags. I thought that was actually pretty interesting, and I think it's to a point it's actually quite fair. And that if it was like the Confederate flag, then there'd be an issue, right? Like you see leftists freaking out, like how could you have their black kids there? Why would you let them do that? So I see that like it's an ideology that you disagree with. I'm not sure if gay people are an ideology here, but
Sure.
I see what you're going with this.
Right.
Yeah,
That's fine. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I guess the line that I would draw if I were to draw a line is that it's I guess the line that I would draw is that it's not a hateful ideology like those. But maybe I'm just like drawing. Maybe I'm just being arbitrary here. So I'll just leave it at that. My headphones, these are brand new headphones, and I'm getting like static here. I'm not sure. Is that anyone else hearing? Like,
Yeah, I heard
No,
that.
Prime, you sound like Soundwave from the original Transformers.
It's gone now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can't
All
hear
right.
it
So
Oh,
now.
it's
it
my
wasn't just
cat
me.
purring. My bad. My
Okay,
bad. My
great.
cat's purring. I'm moving.
Sure. I don't know what that was, but all right, great. Let's move on to Scuffed and then Doobie.
All right. So, first of all, I wasn't implying that flags don't mean anything. I was saying that pledging means nothing. Like, if someone did that with a Confederate flag, well, I don't think that's a fair comparison. And I think that would be problematic. And I do think leftists and me would be upset with that. I don't think that necessarily would be indoctrinating a kid. Like I said, I pledge allegiance every fucking day for my entire K through 12 life to the fucking American flag, and I am fairly certain conservatives would call me anti-American for being leftist. So how good was that indoctrination? That's all I got.
Let's Grindle or whatever your name is, so we can hear background noise. If you can mute yourself, please. And let's go to no problem. My man Doobie.
So I have like two things. So the first thing is earlier, I think debate boards, there's like an agenda, right? The trans agenda, the LGBT agenda. And there was like some pushback on that. And I don't understand why, because I think you guys have all kind of expressed what the agenda is, right? The agenda is just a plan to normalize LGBT lifestyles, right? Gender expression, sexuality, and you can say it's a good or a bad thing. I'd agree it's probably a good thing.
Applies a level of organized, concerted effort that doesn't.
But there is an organized, concerted effort by lots of activists, by lots of people in the Democrat Party who think it's a good thing to normalize being gay, being trans, being non-binary. So they're attempting to push policy within schools and at the government level to normalize this, right? And maybe you think that's okay.
Well, no, they're not pushing.
I think it's okay to be gay, right? Like
to illegalize.
I'll accept this framing. I'll accept this framing for like the purposes of like what his argument is going to be.
Doobie's been waiting. Please, Doobie.
Yeah, so I think it's okay to accept that there is an agenda, right? And it might even be a good agenda, right? It might be. I've got a trans sibling. I've got a bisexual sibling. Like I think it's pretty good for these things to be normalized, right? But like, so that's number one. Just wanted to make that quick point. Number two is on the point of like gender expression and like sexuality and how these things develop. Because like everything that I've read about this, trying to unpack this topic over the years, has led me to like a person's like sexuality and gender identity. They're both products of like biological traits, developmental influences, and environmental conditions. Right. And I think everybody here would agree that our concept of gender is heavily informed by the society we happen to grow up in. Like my expression of like my masculine man gender, right, is going to be totally at odds with the expression of a man in a matriarchal society, right? Like it exists in India in some places, for example. Right. So if we could acknowledge these things, like, is it really so unreasonable for parents to be concerned that their children might be influenced into a gender identity or a sexuality that comes with an increased risk of negative life outcomes? I could say, hey, those negative life outcomes are higher. The risk is higher because of this line of thinking, and I totally agree with most of that, right? But I think acknowledging that there might be some influence here, right, based on everything we know about how gender identity and sexuality develops in children, right, it is okay, right? And we can just kind of deal with that as it is.
So
But
there's
Doobie,
a
my
very
sentient
scientifically
poison
there's a very
Oh,
excuse me.
here I'm gonna.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm ready now.
going with something. Yeah, I mean, can you force someone? It takes a lot of effort to even force someone to masquerade as straight, right? It's conversion therapy. It's extremely difficult to get someone to convert to being straight, and it's rarely permanent, right?
Yeah, of course.
So to imply, right, that with just saying like, we're going to tell you about gay people existing today, right? To imply that has the force and power to turn someone from straight to gay under any circumstances, I'm extremely doubtful of, even as a baseline claim, right?
Yeah, and I can totally understand
to
that.
convert someone's sexuality without, their express want to be that sexuality is, I would say, nigh impossible without aggressive coercion.
Right. Yeah, and I would totally agree with that. Right. But what we're talking about here is like children, like the "Don't Say Gay" bill, quote unquote, or was it parental rights bill, whatever the fuck they call it. That was
Yeah,
dealing with,
the
like,
Florida
5
bill,
to-
if we're talking about that, it can
Right.
affect anyone from kindergarten up to up
12th
to
grade.
12th grade. Yes,
Well,
because
hold on,
it
but
is worded,
the contentious part
because it
was-
is worded as such. Hello, I am a politics reporter. I'll explain. I've read the whole bill. It is literally worded as such that if a parent disagrees with how gender and sexuality is being taught in school, that they have the right and ability to sue that school.
I don't think that's true.
And that's literally in the text of the bill.
No.
Go read it, my friend.
I think you're misrepresenting.
That is
Yeah,
in
I think
the
you're
text of the
misrepresenting
bill.
the bill, but that's okay. We can disagree about
the
that.
text of the
Really
bill.
quick, because that's not really important to the conversation. But
That it is
so what we're
extremely
talking about here in
important
some
to the
cases
conversation,
is
and that is
please, I'm not done.
Doobie's been waiting very patiently. Let's give him space, please, Doobie.
What we're talking about here in like some cases is like kindergartners, first graders, children who have not yet developed their gender identity or their sexuality. Right. So I agree that, hey, once somebody is set into a sexuality, you can't just like put a bunch of gay people in front of them and say, oh shit, now I'm gay now. I don't think it works like that. Right. But given that these are like their formative years, and that we know that your environment can influence your sexuality and your gender expression, I don't think it's a stretch to worry that they might be influenced in a way that these parents think is negative.
Again, I'm telling you, right, it is extremely difficult to change someone's sexuality, and moreover,
We're not talking about changing it.
We're not doing
I'm talking
anything to coerce into a new, preference. All we're doing is saying this is, John and John are gay, they're in love, that's fine. John and Anna are straight, they're in love, that's fine. That's about the extent of what you're getting with this shit.
I don't think that's true.
That is,
I think that's also misrepresentation.
Extremely doubtful
of a lot of what's going on.
I gotta hop off, so see y'all. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Jangles, what do you got, my friend?
So I don't like this. Like, you're kind of conflating gender identity and sexuality. Like you're
I don't think so.
No, you're not conflating.
Well,
them.
I'm just conflating them. That I'm saying that both of them are like their development is influenced by biology, environment, yada yada. Right? Like it's
that's
not
true.
just
And that's true. And there's 2 points to that. Like biology and environment. Like you're saying the same. When you say biology and environment, you're just saying the same thing twice. Genes are inert molecules. They can only manifest any sort of effect in the environment. So, and the second point is like gender. You weren't here. I don't know if you were here for this. Like gender is the first social lens that we develop. Like everyone develops a sense of gender by the time they're 2 to 4 at the very latest. And by the time someone is like 5 years old, it's very likely that if they have a set gender identity, it's not compatible with what they were assigned at birth, they're going to develop a sense of incongruence with that. So like this is something that kindergartners already exist going into school with. And so it is good to already have that education in place. Because like gender ideology, I fucking hate that term. Like talking about this stuff, it's not just for trans kids, although that's certainly important. I would have I grew up, so I'm fucking old. You can see my hair, I'm fucking old. I would have loved growing up in a homophobic rural part of Kentucky with homophobic parents. I would have loved to like hear some like affirmation for like being gay is okay when I was
fried chicken and bourbon.
Fried chicken and bourbon. Now those are the good things. I'm not talking about those. Those are the good things. Like it would have been nice if I like heard in my education about how that was okay. And also, more importantly, I would like for all of my peers to have heard that that was okay. Like all this stuff is not just good for the trans and gay kids. It's good for the cis and straight kids who are going to grow up with their peers and like understand them better. I think that's a good thing. And like it's not age appropriate means at what age is a child able to articulate a question. And I think that age is very, very young. If you want to talk about gay people, hey, I want to adopt kids. I would like them to know what gay is when I adopt them. Like, they're going to know anyway, right? And kids can be trans by the time they're 4, 5 years old before they enter school. I would like for them to know what trans is, and I would like for their peers to know what trans is. Like, so we're talking about like science.
When they enter school?
Yeah, when they enter school.
My taller boy is he's about to go to kindergarten. I've had him in Montessori school, both of them, both of my boys. However, the taller one, he still has trouble with the gender changing Legos, the Lego pieces. Like in is in and out is out. Just quick question. If we're talking about, now I know that's very anecdotal, and I apologize for being an anecdote Andy there.
Yes.
But how, now I don't think that's out of the ordinary. If a child is not fully understanding about innies and outies in the context of like a Lego, how are we going to talk about that 20-ish years prior to the brain being fully developed?
Do you think that
males 25, females 22, brains developing?
Hold on, like, don't kids? Like, if you actually believed like the brain's not fully developed, we wouldn't be teaching kids math. Like, come on.
No, the brain isn't fully developed. We can't.
Yeah, the brain isn't fully developed, but
fully
before
developed,
25, that doesn't mean like
that's why your
can't
insurance
understand
rate.
things. That doesn't mean they can't understand things, right?
Right, but now I brought up my own awesomeness that I'm daddy of 2 boys now. How cool is that?
Do they know that they're boys?
Very wholesome.
Confusion with the gender changing Lego.
Well, here's the thing. Most kids do understand love, though. We're not explaining sexuality. We're explaining love oftentimes.
Okay.
A
do you think a 4-year-old understands love also?
A lot of things have been said, and most of this was to Doobie, so I want Doobie to respond. Wick, I see you there. We'll get you after.
I didn't mean to distract too much from that.
No, that's fine.
Yeah,
Think about
it. Jingles, like maybe you've read some things I haven't. I'm sure you have, right, on this topic, right? Because my understanding is that when a child is like 3 or 4 years old, 5 years old, they're not really firm in like a gender identity. This could absolutely change as they continue to develop and interact with the world and get exposed to new things and new ideas, right? So like, I mean, what I don't want to use an anecdote, but I think when you're 5 years old, right, what it means to be a boy, right, it could like fucking massively shift by the time you hit 10 or 15 or 20, right? These are like shifting concepts that these children are still working through.
Correct.
Right? So yeah, so like I really appreciate that Grumpelstiltskin is here, because I think he's the kind of person we're really talking about here. I don't have children yet, right?
I have 2 boys working on a 3rd.
That's awesome. No, I genuinely mean that's awesome. Like, I'm very happy for you. But
thank you.
So I think it sounds like he has some trepidation, some anxiety, right, about somebody saying that his children could be trans or even know what a gender is or sexuality is when they get into kindergarten, right? So if his children get there and the teacher has the trans flag on the wall and they're talking about gender and dating,
that's
other
way
men
farther out.
or even two, like a male and a female dating, right? I would think he might have like a problem with that, right?
Even
he's
dating,
the kind of person we're talking about.
Well,
no,
okay.
Yeah, you got me here, Doobie. You addressed me. That's correct. Yes. However, the problem is push it all out.
Yeah, so you don't want to like push further into like later in the
dating.
Wait, Grumpelstiltskin, have you showed your children any Disney movie?
We steal the Disney streaming channel from my wife's sister because I'm not
as we all do
Netflix or Disney anymore.
We all do that, yeah. Have you showed them any of those movies?
Which movies are you talking about now?
I'm actually pretty confident any of them.
I don't think they have the attention span to sit through any movie. We are big on Mira the Royal Detective show right now. Mira. It's about India.
All right, be very general. Hold on, be very general. How old are your kids? Be very general. Don't
2 and 4.
2 and 4.
Yeah, the short one just turned 2. The tall one is 4.5.
Okay, no, that's fine. Like, yeah, your 2-year-old's not gonna like watch movies, but your 4-year-old, like, they could probably like. I saw my first movie when I was 4.
His
my first movie
was
The Lion King, and you know what The Lion King had? They had Simba and Nala getting it. Wait, I saw those eyes as an adult. They were getting it, and they had a baby at the end. They were exposing. We were exposing My parents were exposing their 4-year-old boy.
Have you ever tried to get a 4-year-old to pay attention for 2 hours to anything?
Yeah, and it worked. I watched that movie 98 times as a child. I paid attention to that a lot.
98.
We took detailed statistics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the VHS was like it's ruined because we watched it live.
The thing I like about Mira, I'm not a big fan, but the thing that I like is the main girl is like, "Hey, we observed some shit. Let's think this through." She tries to teach like common sense and observation and like objective like reality. Hey, let's get from point A to point B. That I really like because the tall one, he got to that show on his own. Do you think a 4-year-old can pay attention or has the cognizance of like seriously about gender? It's like,
yes. No, I don't think. I know. That's what the science says. They know what gender is by the time they're 2 or 3.
Really smart, and that's not in his wheelhouse.
I'm okay. Well, I'm sorry. Like, no, he probably knows that he's a boy. Having a conception of gender is not the same thing as being able to articulate the like intricacies of gender theory. Right?
Well, okay, that's a great qualification, Jangles, because it boils us down to you want to argue on the one hand that 2, 3, 4-year-olds can recognize what gender is, right, and therefore we ought to be able to expose them to gender theory in 3rd grade or 2nd grade or 1st grade.
Not gender theory.
And,
that's way too much.
But
mate.
what you really just said is important because
what
you're saying is they know simply that they are naturally a boy or a girl. Okay?
If I may
they're not actually
interject-
working through the whole conceptualization of gender.
Let me hit
that
after.
there is cisgender, and that there are 71 other varieties of gender out there.
That's dishonest. I'll interrupt that. That's dishonest. 71 other varieties. No.
Okay, so 72. I don't know what the number
Okay.
is.
Hold on. We've also skipped over Wick. Wick had a point, so I want to give Wick a shot, right? And then we'll go to Grindle. We have Doxes here, who we haven't had in a long time. Nice to see you again. Hello, hi.
Thanks for indulging me, Prime. I appreciate it.
No problem.
So I apologize for interrupting what I was finding a kind of a fascinating back and forth here, but I just want to point out that, like, look, to the importance of educating children at an early age that, you know what, as you grow older, in an age-appropriate way, you're going to have feelings for different people, okay? And it's okay if your peers have feelings for people of the same sex. That's just teaching that it's not pushing an ideology. If your claim is that the gay agenda, quote unquote, is teaching children to recognize the humanity of other people, regardless of whether they be gay, lesbian, trans, or straight, then okay, sure, let's push the gay agenda on kids, right? Because that's just the human agenda, right? We want these things these are positive things. I want children from a very early age, because kids are cruel at the heart. Like, kids are cruel. They'll pick on people, they'll bully people, they'll target people.
Kids
Anyone
are real.
who says kids are angels or hasn't been around kids.
Kids are real.
You know what I mean? So we want children to understand that just because people are different from them, and this goes beyond sexuality, this goes to race, this goes to ethnicity, this goes to ideology even, or religion, things like that. Just because someone is different than you doesn't mean it's okay to judge them for that negatively, right? And so all I see in a majority of cases going on, and I have a nephew, I don't have kids of my own, but I have nephews and nieces, and some of them are as young as 3 years old, and some of them are as old as 16, right? And so they run the gamut of the school systems in different states and different parts. So I talk to them, I hear about them. They tell me things, some more than others, of course. Again, it's just teaching people to be okay and tolerate others is not this like shadowy agenda that's being pushed. I don't know.
But no one would ever characterize what they're disagreeing with as that. Would they? No one would ever say that's what you're doing and that's what I want you to stop doing, right?
Libs of
that
TikTok
wouldn't be
would.
what they say they're disagreeing with.
What do you guys
Libs of TikTok would.
teaching gender to kids, like teaching them that there's more than one gender?
I can't hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear you at all.
Your mic is horribly low.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now? Better. Yeah.
Is it teaching them that there's more than one or more than two
Oh,
genders?
wait, hold
or
on. Now
what?
you're way too loud.
Yeah, you've hit the gain. You've like
It's
maybe more focused on the mic.
It's too far. You went
Yeah.
too far.
Is it
You were-
teaching kids that there's more?
You overshot it.
Or what?
There you go.
Can you say that one more time? I wouldn't.
Is
hear
it
you.
teaching kids that there's more than two genders or what? Like, what do you mean teaching them gender?
That's the title I put down there.
Yeah.
Teaching gender to children.
That's all I saw.
I like this
Yeah.
question.
That's what I'm going off of.
Well, to
Yeah,
get back
What is the
just really quickly to
We're talking about Legos.
because I think what Jengos was hitting at Grumple's Silkskin is that there's like that fuzzing thing again. I think it's
a debate board.
It is debate board. Debate board.
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah.
guys.
Look at whose
It's okay.
box is highlighted.
I think what Jengos is getting at is that your children, whether you intend to or not, are being presented, being indoctrinated, quote unquote, into normative forms of gender expression or gender roles through the media that they're consuming. Right? Disney. That you see with Nala and Simba, that's a boy and the girl. In that scene, the boy in that scene,
there's no movies.
In that scene,
There's
the
no
boy is
movies.
on top of the girl, right? It kind of implies
No,
that
there's
they're
no
in a
movies.
certain role.
Yeah, like
or
there's
hierarchy.
I never said that. There's no movies. There's no Lion King, Simba.
We're talking broader than you
pay
right now,
attention.
mate.
Yeah, not you specifically, but in general,
Yeah.
right?
So,
I was being used as an example, so I'm clarificating. If we can use that as a word.
We've gone beyond.
Anyway, Doobie.
Right.
Basically, so when most children get into school, right at kindergarten, they've already
Both
seen
my
the
kids are
Disney
in school, by
movies.
the way.
They've already seen Mulan. They've already seen The Lion King and all this kind of shit, right? Or Cinderella or whatever the fuck, or Sleeping Beauty, which is really rapey, by the way. Right? And so they have like a certain understanding of the role of a man and the role of a woman in society, right?
I
think
can
that's
bring
what
it
he's
back.
talking about.
Hang on, Doobie. I can bring it back. I remember when I was a kid, the only movie I had saw prior to grammar, very important. The only movie in the 80s. Now, I remember seeing Ronald Reagan on TV. The only movie that I had seen prior to going to school was E.T. And none of like kids are not seeing these movies like you maybe think they are. Little kids, toddlers, they're not paying attention for 2 hours to a movie to understand whatever things that you think they are.
All right,
Well,
that's cool.
hold on.
Other
Little half-hour shows. I said
Can I
Disney
just say-
Plus.
It's cool.
Bro, I'll just say, like, I'm not. You're a parent. I'm not. Right. I'm an uncle. I'll
I'm
just
a
say,
badass parent.
great. My experience as an uncle and just my experience in general, and what I remember as a kid, like you find the movie and then you're like, let's watch that a million times forever. Like kids will watch one movie over and 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 over.
Yes, they will, but
Yeah.
not movie. Show on
Both or,
the
either
streaming
or.
services. Just to
So
clarify
far
how
removed from what we were talking about.
Some kids
Yeah,
are
I
watching
don't see the point of
98
this. Can we?
What about
Like-
the movie?
Is it
Mulan?
normative exposure?
Have you
Well, I
seen the
think
movie
what Jengos
Mulan?
is advocating for is including LGBT or I guess you could call them like queer representation in those films. So when the children get into kindergarten, right? Not only have they been exposed to man and woman, they've been exposed to every type of man and woman. They've exposed to things that aren't men and women.
That's where I'm
Right?
disagreeing.
And then when they're in kindergarten, when they're reading storybooks in like at lunchtime or whatever the fuck they do in the kindergarten, right? They're some of the couples that they're talking about in these stories are two men or two women or a trans person or whatever.
I can tell you if you like.
No,
We
no,
talk
like
about
Doobie, let
sluts
Doobie.
that do
I want to hear Doobie get to his point.
Yeah, so
We don't
I
talk
think
about men and women. We talk about like anthropomorphic trucks.
Shut
and
up.
Sure. Go ahead.
Pretty much.
The xenogender things are like a whole other thing we can get into if you really want to. But I think that's the core of what he's saying, right? Right, Django, so correct me if I'm wrong. And you can say it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think that's the core of it, right?
Yeah,
That's where I'm correct.
Pretty close. There were like some like minute details that you said like I would disagree with, but they're minute details. But yeah, like I want to like increase. I don't want to like subvert the norm. I want to increase what normal is. Because hey, I'm gay. I want to adopt kids. And I don't want other kids to think that that's weird. I don't think that's unreasonable. Hey, I know trans parents, and I know parents with trans kids. I want all that to be seen as normal. That's good, right? We don't want those kids to be bullied.
My counter to that is it's out of scope.
We don't want a source of bullying coming solely from kids not being exposed to something. Like, that's where a lot of bullying comes from, just unfamiliarity. And if we can subvert that with like really basic shit, I think we are obligated to do so.
Wait, so debate board. So if it were just like things like that, right? So when they're in kindergarten, it's story time, and they're reading about the two little caterpillars and the caterpillar baby or whatever. The two caterpillars happen to be like male caterpillars, right? In the story, it's not a big part of the story. It just happens to be. It's just a thing that exists in the story. Or would you be opposed to that?
No, again,
I'd be
because
opposed to
no, I wouldn't be, because again, this isn't this lie that's been proffered on us by the left that we're just teaching about the existence of gay people. It's nonsense. That's not what is going on here.
What are we doing then?
To Django's point, though, when do you think this is appropriate? Do you think it's
what are we
kindergarten,
doing then?
first grade, or do you think we should wait till sixth
don't
grade,
think any
8th grade,
type
or
of
10th
agenda
grade
Kindergarten,
to
kindergarten.
normalize this stuff?
But
Debate, I want an answer to that. What are we doing then if that's not what we're doing?
What about
We're
in California when
indoctrinating
they
this
teach white
radical
things how to
gender
have a
theorizing and
sex
ideology.
change,
That's what
right?
we're doing.
Mothvane, I'm not talking to you. I want. What are we doing?
I got a
Was it-
question.
I'm
Paul.
not talking to
no
anyone.
camera? There's no
Please,
camera?
everyone,
Sorry.
shut up.
So fine. Do that. But Narcissus was next.
Yeah,
Okay, and
what
a very
are
important
we-
thing is.
Oh, I said Narcissus. I said whoa. I said
No, you said do the thing.
No,
That's what I just asked you.
and that's my fault because I didn't specifically state who I was talking to. I meant Dr.
Right.
K. So
Yeah,
Dr.
exactly.
K.
It's like,
Yeah.
all right, if we aren't teaching acceptance, like, what is this supposed, heinous ideology, or like, be very specific. What are we doing then that is rancid?
We're moving away from teaching biological sex and into this gender theorizing. I have a priority in truth. I have a priority in educating on scientific truth, and this gender ideology and gender theorizing that's going on in classrooms, and using teachers' personal,
Advanced
intimate,
biology.
sexual
No.
and gender identity experiences to do so is absolutely the wrong vehicle to do it, if we're going to do it at all.
Debate, you like science. I'm going to talk to Debate. Debate, you like science. And I've mentioned this earlier on the panel.
You do not have
Every
a stranglehold
No.
on science, Kay, so
yes,
stop
but let me
pretending.
explain something, my friend. I don't have a stranglehold in science, but every pediatric society in every state agrees with like what Jangles and I are talking about, where it's like, yes, it is more complicated than that, and this isn't like some anti-science bullshit that we're pushing here. And like, again, this isn't some new thing. Again, trans people are fucking ancient, as are gay and lesbian people.
Again, you've gone
Like,
back
this-
to the
this
existence
isn't
argument,
new,
and that's not
and
what we're
that-
talking
no,
about.
you're dodging the fact that, again,
I
every
didn't dodge
fucking
anything. You just
pediatric-
pivoted.
Every pediatric society in every state in this country and the federal level and most national one or international ones agree that like it's more complicated than that. Like
What
the
is more
science is not
complicated?
with you.
No,
I just posted I posted a document in chat. I have about 60 studies
Thanks,
summarized.
Shingo.
and
It's closed, by the way. You need like.
Okay,
open
what
text.
do you mean by what is the thing that is more complicated? What is it that you're referring to?
That we're moving
Manhattan.
away from biological like sex and gender. We're not. We're literally getting closer, at these higher levels where we do start teaching that stuff, we're getting closer to teaching the truth. Because if you're just teaching that it is a hard binary and that there's no gray area, that is farther from the truth than what is being taught. Like with this
There's
new
two
stuff that
genders,
the
right?
pediatric-
Biologically, there's two genders.
No,
before
actually-
we go down that road.
Yeah,
According to science,
don't do
there's
that.
two genders.
No, I think Kay, I don't see the need or the purpose or the value of introducing and crowding out other worthwhile education in K through 3, even K through 6. I'm with you. If you want to teach this stuff in high school, where children can start
Yes,
to critically
we're
think
doing
about
that
things,
We're not
that would
doing
be
this
great.
in elementary school.
Yes, we are. That's the problem.
No,
That's
we're
why
teaching a
19
much
states are
simpler
acting against
version
it.
of that, like to
No,
these
it's not
kids.
much
Like,
simpler. No. You have these gingerbread unicorn, things that are trying to teach students about this, that, and the other
oh
thing.
yeah, you're
Look,
talking about the gender unicorn
Gingerbread
that's no longer
unicorn
used.
things? What?
No, I
Yeah.
literally know what he's talking about. There
Yeah.
was this diagram that was called the gender unicorn. It was used for a couple of years to sort of express a more nuanced version of what's going on.
More
and then
nuanced.
They realized
So
that's
we are
stupid,
getting
and they
into-
stopped using it.
So we are getting into deep specifics at these young grades, and so it
They
sounds like you
stopped
and I
using
agree
it, my dude.
that we should not be doing this at these early grades. Great,
So
we found some common
So
ground.
just because they stopped using that specific thing doesn't mean that they haven't moved to using something else, right?
Let's
Like,
go to Doxes.
Well,
who's
right.
been waiting.
Some
Hold on,
nefarious
I want to hear from
indoctrination.
Doxes. He's been waiting patiently, please. And it's nice to see you again.
Yeah, thank you. I was in Pakistan. I tried to make it on a panel, but I was literally halfway across the world. Anyways, so here's my take on literally all of this. Me, the authoritarian I am, I don't think gender should be taught at school at all. Literally block puberty until they're 18, then they can decide, you know what, that's the puberty I want to go
That's
through.
disgusting.
Yeah,
Really funny.
But memes aside, like actually think about it as a concept. What is gender? It's identity. And what happens when you force somebody to suppress their identity? You make it so that they have this role dissonance in which they're trying to engage with the world the way that they are. Me as a queer person, I can't engage with certain spaces because of my queer identity, and I have to suppress that down. And when I need to suppress myself, I am constantly stressed. I'm constantly just at the edge of anxiety of somebody finding out and the wrong person finding out, and then I get fucked over. And in other places, I can't be open with my status as being Muslim and queer. Why? Because some people just don't understand that you can be multiple things at once. It's very complicated, but that's the thing with identity. It is complicated. And when you teach children about identity, you're not giving them like, oh, this is how identity should work. You need to give them the words, the tools, and the general structure of how society engages with your identity and how you can express that identity in a healthy manner and in a constructive manner. Look, when we get into neo-pronouns, that's a whole complicated mess of a topic. People are exploring identities. They sometimes make new shit up. They go with that. That's fine. Again, the human brain is so complicated. Kink psychology is complicated, but gender itself is separate from just like the whole sexual experience. It's also about my desire of, oh, I'm not attracted as much towards women. I enjoy more feminine clothing, but I feel masculine. I feel like a man, and that is okay. These are just words that I use to express myself. And the people also come from many different backgrounds and many different family structures too. Look, Muslim upbringing, when I went into the public school system, it was a whole culture shock to me. And I slowly understood, oh, people are queer. Oh, this is what happens when two men like each other. It's completely fine. If I just grew up in like my isolated bubble, I wouldn't be the person who I am today. The first time I met a trans person was near the end of high school, and just talking to them and understanding that, I just gained a better understanding of not only the gender expression, how I should approach people who aren't like me, but for myself as well. I just became more comfortable as a male, just using that label, and comfortable expressing what I believe is to be manly. But again, it's just the words that I need to be taught. I just need to be taught about its existence itself. Yeah, that's it.
Anyone else?
Are there valid concerns that there might be other things being taught that are akin to the gender unicorn that'll be retracted in the future?
Well, valid concerns.
yeah,
What do
I
you mean
think
by
so.
that?
Well,
Yeah,
that's kind of what,
Go ahead.
getting way back to the original topic, that's kind of what the Libs of TikTok account did, right? So what they did was students would send in videos of their teachers that were posted on TikTok, and they reposted that on their Twitter account. And
I
some
would
of
just
these
base it
teachers, I think
on the
Is
gender
that all they
unicorn thing.
did?
well, no, that's not all they did, but that's like a big part of what they did, right? A lot of it was like teachers, showing how they were teaching gender identity or whatever to their classroom. And I think that with some of these teachers, I'm
I
sure if
don't
we
get
went
what
through
we're
them, we'd
talking
find
about.
some examples where Jangles and Dr. K might agree that this teacher went over the line for a kindergarten class or something. Right. So I think we all kind of agree that they should be taught at some point in the classroom, right? I think what we really disagree about is like when and how much.
Sorry, does Debate Board agree? And before Debate Board answers, B Dander, thank you for gifting a sub. CDN, thank you for resubbing for 11 months. We get one more individual person. So that hype trade, we can make it to happen right now. Subs to channel, give bits, give subs, support this community. Usually Amazon Prime / Prime Gaming. But Debate Board, do you actually agree that it should ever be taught by those nefarious public school teachers? And then
what is the it again? That I think is the most important part. The it, and defining what it is, because again, we see some panelists over and over reducing this to simply teaching that homosexuality exists, and that,
what do you think
again,
it is,
by
then?
various accounts, we see that's not what is being taught.
What's being taught?
Well, look at the Libs of TikTok thing. It's
I have?
tricking kids into pledging allegiance to the pride flag, right? I mean, you guys can shake your head, but this is taking young children, right, and imposing on them this uncritical sense of what gender is.
I'm sorry. Like, hold on. Let's say that happened. We tricked kids into pledging allegiance to the pride flag.
We saw.
Yeah,
that
that's
video.
probably weird. What's happened? What does that
What's
do to
happened?
them?
You had a teacher abuse their role as a teacher.
Sure, no, like you shouldn't trick kids into pledging allegiance to anything.
Sexual
Cool.
identity and gender orientation.
I'm
on
sorry. Like, hold on.
Children.
I'm sorry.
Sentence.
If you trick kids, they're not aware that they're pledging allegiance to a gay pride flag. That's gonna trick them into being gay or trans. What's the harm? I agree that's bad. Like, you shouldn't trick kids into like pledging allegiance to anything if that's what happened. But like, the catastrophizing that you're doing is monumental and impressive.
It's a huge
No,
leap.
it's simply an
It's a huge
example of,
leap
once
to
again,
say
teachers abusing their role as a teacher. That's it.
Yeah, then that's bad. But that's not what you were arguing. You were saying that like they're
Debate board. You keep saying that
Isn't it
there
1%?
is that they're indoctrinating kids, but then you point to these examples where it's not indoctrination, it's tricking. It may be cringe, it may be inappropriate, but it's not indoctrination, right? Tricking a kid into pledging allegiance to a flag is not indoctrination.
Yeah, TikTok tricks the
A
kids.
tool to what?
They
A
don't
tool
even
to
know
what?
They're easier to be tricked. The fucking bright colors trick them easier.
Trick them into what?
The
What
bright
are they
colors are
indoctrinating
going to
into?
confuse the kids into being gay.
Fucking
Well,
answer
look,
it.
let's not pretend that, again, back to Doobie's point, that
gay in
there
my
is an agenda here. All right, the agenda again is not simply teaching that.
Then what is it? Answer
fear
it.
of saying other. That
Shut
other
the fuck
people
up. What's the
exist.
agenda? Answer it. What the fuck is the agenda?
It's
You
to
say there's an
promote the
agenda.
normalization of
You
this
say it's not
gender
what we
theory
say it
and
is.
gender
What's the
ideology.
agenda?
It's indoctrinating gender ideology. That's it.
What's the agenda? To what end? To what end?
I think the
What's
agenda
step two?
Well,
the
step
gender
two,
ideology is
step 2 is
mistaking
the
happiness
I wanna hear
to be
debate.
Oh, sorry,
homosexual.
yeah, let him respond.
Yeah, I know, but I haven't talked at all
two
yet,
is
and I've been here for like 10 minutes.
That's fine. That's
But I'm
fine.
saying,
Stop, gang. I gotta go.
Yeah, okay. Bye, Wick. Have a good one. Yeah. Don't worry. You will get a chance to talk. So debate board.
raise
Finish your
your
point.
hand.
But Vault Rise, thank you for the
Yeah,
text
I did
subs.
raise my
The
hand, but
You're
then
next.
he started
All
talking over me.
Nice. Go ahead. Debate board.
Hey, thanks for all the gift subs in the channel. Keep giving them out for Prime. Hey, so the second step is the 4,000% increase in girls identifying as trans in the UK. There you go.
4,000.
There you go.
4,000.
Yeah. there you
Wow.
go.
How
Dude,
embarrassed
I talked
are
about
you?
this.
For...
It's the
what's
left-handed
the problem
thing.
with that?
They get normalized. You see a bump, and then it fucking curves off as
They
they're
get normalized.
normalized.
No,
Wait,
you're
what's the
confusing
problem
young
with
children is what
being
you're
trans, though?
Yeah, what is
like
wrong
you're
with
presenting that as a problem? Like, there's no problem, right?
I think
Because
it's a
if
problem.
people just become trans, like that doesn't affect literally anything except their own personal lives.
I think they can do it, but we should not normalize it. It's not normal.
Why not?
But it should
What-
not.
I mean,
What am I
it
doing?
is
I
literally
want debate.
Pakistani,
I want debate
Hijra.
too.
We have a whole cultural word. We have a literal legal third gender, and that is like a normal thing
A lot of
in
cultures
our
have that.
society.
A lot of
yeah,
cultures have
so
that.
does America, so does Canada, so does like literally most
But,
of the
alright.
world. It's a normal thing, and you're
Some
saying we shouldn't
cultures,
make
if
it
all
normal.
the men die off, the women take the roles of the men, right? But if
That's a
the men
normal
in your
thing.
family are not dying off, there's no need to change gender
Hold on.
roles. You know what
Shut
I mean?
no. Everyone, be quiet. Debate board. 4,000% increase. What were the actual numbers?
I don't know. I posted a link to the Telegram
97
in Prime
to
chat.
2005
LGBT
to
community
2,500.
wants to have a
It was
presence
97
as a
to
big-
2,500. That's what a 4,000% increase looks
It's
like.
just a small set of numbers. Yeah. in
Yeah,
just a few
we had
years,
an
we see
incredible.
a
Yeah, we had
massive
an
increase.
incredibly small
I
set,
bet
and
you
then went to
would
a
not
very
make
small
that
set.
same
So
argument
proportion
when it
is not
comes to
equal to
police
its
killings of
scale.
black people.
Yeah, 97 to 2,500.
okay, so
that was the increase. That's it.
Would you apply this argument to police killing black people?
Yeah,
Oh, but it's
if
such a small
the
number
police
of
killing
killings,
black
it
people,
shouldn't
if it
matter.
went from 2
Okay, thank you.
if it went from 2 to 10, yeah, I'd feel weird about calling that a 500% increase. Absolutely.
Proportion not equal to scale. That's the problem with your argument. It's like, look, you can say it's a 400% increase, but 400%
Went
from
double digits
1%
to
originally.
quadruple digits. I guess we ought not to be
The
interested
proportion
in
of the
this.
population could also increase far more than that.
Okay, look,
that
hey,
percentage of the
trans-identified
population
people
could have actually
are
gone
a-
down of 10% to 3% for all we
Trans-identifying
know.
people are a vanishingly small number in this in our overall
But
population.
you're not
Why do
comparing
we
it
care?
to the population.
Why do we care then?
We
Why
don't
do we do
care.
anything?
You're caring.
blow it up as
you're
if
caring
it's a
so much to
community.
stop it.
0.017%.
Why
do we
would
care?
you need to stop it though? It's just shown to be beneficial, but stopping it, you're saying, is the more beneficial
What's
thing.
shown to
And
be
now
Yeah,
you're
we're
saying,
letting him get away with not answering the question. What was the agenda? He said the agenda was this 4,000%
No,
increase,
you asked
which
what the
showed.
second step was. I told you what the second step
No,
was.
okay. So what's the overall agenda? What do we want? Tell us. What do we want?
It's
What's our end
indoctrinating
goal?
children into these particular
Indoctrinating
views.
indoctrinating
Yes.
into what? What do we want?
what's
Divorcing-
indoctrination?
I want to know. What do we want?
What is the end goal?
What?
What's our agenda? What do we want?
Well, I don't know. In the most,
Wait, you don't know?
In the most, I guess not disingenuous terms, I would say the end goal is abusing children, by
Can't you say the
intentionally
same thing about
confusing
you?
them.
It's up there with abortion.
That's what you're
But
saying.
I'm not going to go that direction. I'm going to say that the point is to increase the
Because
ranks.
that'd make me look
it's
like an
increase the
asshole.
numbers.
All right, if there-
And to do so to simply fuel individuals' own self-esteem and perceptions of themselves. That's it.
oh my God, our
we
agenda
supposed to do
is to
that with
increase the
kids?
child's happiness based on what the science says. Okay, no,
No, it's
he
increase
nailed it.
your happiness.
He nailed it.
No,
he
they're
nailed
trying to
it.
turn happiness into
Hey, I answered your
homosexuality, so everyone stays depressed.
That's
'cause
what
they
gay
can't-
means.
Being
I
in a
am.
positive mood
I don't think that's
turns you
the
into a
issue.
homosexual, right?
Dude, Mott doesn't know what the difference between gay and trans is.
That's what the agenda is. They want to turn happiness into
Mott,
homosexuality.
you are genuinely one of the
Fuck
smartest
yeah.
Stay at a
humans
low
I've ever seen.
vibration, and you
It's
don't
kind of
move up in
impressive.
society.
Yeah,
All right, guys, I'm
actually,
gonna drop.
I do
Thank
want
you
to
for all the
turn happiness.
perspectives. I appreciate it.
That's what the agenda is.
No, actually, Moth is right. I do want to somehow convert happiness into homosexuality and then inject it into my veins. That's what my ultimate goal is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you want to
That's
hug your
happening.
friend, there's nothing gay about hugging your friend, but they want to make that into something that's homosexual.
No, all you have to do
No,
is
I
just
I
say
don't
no
think
homo.
They do,
Made out with
man.
my
I
friends.
really don't think they do.
You'd be surprised.
Oh, they
you
do.
are
they
you are on
do.
some whacked out shit, my dude.
You just
And
have to
I
say no
respect the
homo.
crazy.
You just have to say
okay.
no homo. It prevents everything.
Guys, how about the hype train? Because of Vote Rise, we're being kind. He puts us at level 3 hype train. I'm 11% done. I was at 89% left. Seconds left on the clock. But how about the hype train? Subs to channel, give bits or give subs, or resub. All that stuff moves on the hype train. So we get to level 4 hype train. Thank you, seriously, Vote Rise especially, and everyone else who helped out too. But Revolt Rise for all the kindness. It means a lot. I hope you're still here. Okay. We have Gnosis. I'm sure Doobie has something to say about this. Mothbane.
Always.
So,
Yeah.
of course he does. So Mothbane, and then Gnosis, and then Doobie.
So, all right, I don't think they should teach it to kids. I don't think that they should teach that the LGBT culture exists. I think the kids should just be taught traditional stuff, and then they can find their own creative little outlets later in life. That's what I think.
Isn't
Creative
being gay
outlets.
traditional? Isn't
What
that
was
like
that?
more traditional? Like being gay more traditional than being, you
No.
know, one man?
No,
one
No,
woman?
it's not.
That is not
No,
traditional.
It's not.
No, that's kind of
Being
You don't
gay
need to go
is
that
just
far,
talking
right?
about.
Like,
All
you
that
do-
being
you
gay
get
just
the
means you're
word,
more
you can go that far.
creative. Being gay just means you're more creative.
No,
Yeah,
that's
wait,
not,
hold on.
I guess.
That's
I
probably
guess.
not what
We need to-
being
But
gay
Moth,
means.
hold on.
What the
but
fuck
Moth,
was that point?
But Moth, like there are some like children who are like gay or trans or whatever, right? So if all they're taught is, you know, man
Who
equals
taught
this,
them?
woman
Who
equals
taught them that
this,
they were
and
that?
men behave this way, women behave this way, like those children are going to be like very put out right at
think they were-
school. It's probably going to lead to a lot of kids bullying them for not behaving the way that they're taught to behave.
So you're saying a child knows their own sexuality?
No, well,
I did.
When you,
I did
hold
when
on,
I was
think,
12.
I think it's something. I think it's something. I think it's something that develops over like your lifetime, right? When I was 12, I had a girlfriend. Right, I was having sex. It was a very bad idea for me to have sex at 12.
Weird flex,
I was
bro.
talking to. It wasn't a flex. I just said it was a really bad idea for that to be happening. But I was a stupid fucking kid, and I had a little girlfriend, right? So yeah, kids aren't like total blank slates about this shit. I think we can acknowledge that. Right, so like I don't understand why you don't want to create an environment where they don't acknowledge the existence of this shit at all, right? And that seems like it would lead to those kids, right, gay people, trans kids, whatever, non-binary kids being bullied within the school. It's like, well, I don't know why we'd encourage that sort of thing.
Yeah, you're saying encourage teaching them that
About
they
themselves?
exist, or that it's
that you shouldn't treat people like shit for being different, and that sometimes they're gonna run into people that are different in some way, and that's okay. It's okay.
Sure, but that's a universal lesson.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So,
But sometimes it needs
But
to be
he's saying,
specific.
but Moth is saying he wouldn't even do that.
Yeah,
Right?
that
So
should
like,
be more up to the parents, right? How they treat other people of different cultures,
That
different
would-
orientations.
People treat their kids like shit too.
Yeah,
Like-
what if you have All right, a big thing like
There's
you wanna know
assholes
why, like,
all
you want to
around.
know why
What
queer
if you
people?
Remember that?
One, do you want to know why queer people have
Always
higher
calls
rates of
their parents
depression than other marginalized groups?
Fine. And then their parents disown them, and their life is ruined at a young age because their parents disowned them, kicked them out.
well, that's a problem though. Like, what? That again, that points to society.
How is that different than if your parents died?
With the parents disowning a kid because they're gay, right? That's seen. If what you're proposing is that all we teach is the traditional shit, right? It seems like in the future you're gonna have those kids when they grow up and have their own kids. If their kid comes out as gay, like, oh shit, well that's not normal, that's not natural, so I'm gonna disown you. You're perpetuating this problem that you're pointing to.
Negative feedback loop.
How is it different than if your parents died when you were young?
Because in one instance the parents are dead, and in the other instance the parents are alive.
They're alive, and they just hate your guts and stuff for believing.
When they're alive, they can change. You can't change a dead person, you know? They just rot.
It's different types of trauma, but they're both trauma, right?
Somebody never played Affliction Lock, okay? Not Mythic Raiders.
Maybe what
Get off
Moth
my
might
dick.
be saying is that look, and I might be wrong
just
on this. So Moth,
pause very
go ahead,
quickly. I want to hear what you have to say. We have 90 seconds left in this hype train because of many people being kind, like Z Somewhere gifting another 10 subs. Thank you, Z Somewhere. B Dander gifting 1,000 bits. Thank you, B Dander. Intro gifting a sub, and Themrod, the Mr. Mod, I think. Thank you for gifting a sub as well. I apologize if I got your name incorrect. We're at 34% of level 4 hype train. Is it 66% left? Can we get to a level 5 hype train? Thank you for the kind support so far. Less than a minute the clock. Subs to the channel, gift bits, gift subs, or resub. Usually Amazon Prime/Prime. Giving all that helps out. But thank you so much for the kind people so far. Sorry for interrupting you, debate board.
Prime, who triggered that hype train?
That was you. Thank you.
good work, Rumple. So, Moth, are you suggesting that perhaps we shouldn't be teaching any of this in school because it, and these are my words, not yours, crowds out other, in your perspective, valid education? It crowds out more legitimate teaching like math, writing, reading.
It sways someone in more of a left or right side of life. You know what I mean? But maybe they should teach it in college later on or something. You know?
Why is sexuality a left or right thing?
Why a topic of academia and not just a casual part of a person's identity?
Well, it's not. It's like conservative and then progressive type of thing, right?
But
what's
no,
the
it's not
progressive thing?
Aren't there?
Why
gay
do kids
conservatives?
not need to know how to use a credit card, but do need to know about sexual identity?
Oh, hold on! I can actually make a very good
They don't
argument
teach
in favor of
taxes
that.
or anything.
Bring
in
it.
school, dude. They should teach fucking taxes and all this other stuff that we need to know.
Taxes, how to pay your taxes, how to use a credit card, how to have a bank account,
how to have a bank account, fucking taxes, and not
all of these are way priority because sex is going to happen, right?
In Canada, not in
regardless of somebody's identity, sex is going to happen in the world.
Yeah.
Regardless of what side you're on, shit's gonna happen. But everybody still needs to know how to like pay your taxes,
And
unless
also
you want
how to
join
have
the Grumble
sex.
Club.
This is weird.
Maybe in
Let's go
health
to
class.
Doxes. Oh my god.
Maybe
Yeah.
in health class they should teach it, maybe a little bit.
Let's go to Doxes.
well,
and
it's
then-
my turn.
What that means.
Okay, so my whole thing is that, well, in Canada, we're taught about taxes and shit like that.
And
Adding, well, that's a whole other thing. But
And
what I'm
bags of
saying
milk.
is the things we need to teach is like when it comes to this specific topic of like gender, sexuality, that stuff. What we can agree on is just the introspection skills, bare minimum. Just the fact of looking in at yourself. All right, this is just the words you can use to describe yourself. Going above that, we can teach a little bit more advanced biology. Tell them, look, sex is not male, female, it's bimodal, which we generalize to male and female. And how we express that is masculine, feminine.
Hold
like
on,
articles
use
of
bimodal.
clothing.
That means you're in a kinesthetic mindset. Can you explain a little bit further for me, please?
What?
What?
You're in if you're using bimodal, that means you're describing it using a kinesthetic set of descriptors.
Two modes
Can you
of distribution?
Yeah.
bimodal?
Why do you think
You
it has,
said bimodal.
does kinesthetic have to do kinesiology? If I'm having that correct, because that's the case. That's not. I don't think that's what he's.
Well, it yes and no, but yes,
No.
very much yes, but it can also be used
Wait,
for
I have
other
a degree in
things.
kinesiology. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it's just
That's
a
a whole
statistical
new
term.
sentence.
The way things move is kinesthesiology.
Kinetic
Is that
energy.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
what
the
does
way
that have to
humans
do
move.
with your sex? Like this, we're talking specifically about your sex, and the two distributions of sexes.
Do you not
being
move during
generally-
sex?
I'm talking about
I don't.
physical, biological DNA and how your body just shows male cells. You know, does it make the fucking gonads? Does it make ovaries?
I'm sorry, when I held it together, fucking Jangles lost it, and then I lost it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just want to
I'm
get back
lost.
to Gnosis and then to Doobie, please.
Yeah, like what I'm saying is that we can teach them, all right, bimodal sex distribution, and then expression of masculine and feminine, like, you know, gender. We like code dresses as female, we code long hair as female, we code makeup as female, we code suits as fucking male. And if you want to be perceived as more masculine, you can use these articles of clothing, or you can behave in such and such mannerisms.
Gnosis, do you want to know how a child perceives the things that you said?
I just asked my kid, like my brother, oh, how do you dress if you want to look like a girl? You just wear a dress. It's
Do you want to know why, though?
Because children break down things into abstract symbols, and that's how they engage in the world, because that is a far more easier way for them to comprehend it than in
That's
any
how
form
humans
of detail.
behave.
Yeah.
A child will. This is what I've learned now, and this is really news to me just recently. So a child will interpret, hey, a girl wears a dress, and that dress is a thing to fiddle around with during time to pay attention.
What?
The girl can floop around in the floop is not the correct word. What's the word? To flare around in the dress. The girl constantly has a fiddle
Flail?
toy, which is flail around. Yes, the girls constantly. That's why girls are so much more appealing to a toddler, is because dresses. Now, hey, check this out. Dresses, you can constantly flail around like your
I
tentacles.
don't understand any of that. In Pakistan, there is very, very small difference in the fabric and the way that the clothes
Do
are
they wear
designed.
dresses?
For honestly, the way that you can probably comprehend it is probably a dress. You don't know what a shalwar kameez looks like. You don't know what a sari looks like. But in Pakistan, we have those dresses.
You
that
just
look
made
very
a
similar.
whole bunch of assumptions, motherfucker.
Do you
Try
know
that
what those
again.
two look? Do you know what a sari and a shalwar kameez look like?
What a sari is? Are you in India? Because that means something different.
Sari.
A
I'm
sari.
from Pakistan.
Yeah, sari.
I literally started that. I started the sentence like that.
Okay, if you're in India and
Do
Pakistan,
you
yes,
think
it
there's
means
only
some different
one
shit.
type that's like the crop top? Because there's multiple
No.
different versions.
This is
I
really
know,
dumb.
sari
This
is not a
really
crop
dumb.
top.
From a
This
month
is
ago.
really stupid. I'm moving past
This
this.
is a really
boy.
weird.
Hey,
This is
stop,
a
stop,
really
stop.
flex.
It is really weird.
Hold
Let's
it.
move.
This is a really weird flex you're doing right now.
Oh, hold on. Shut up. No one talk over me. I don't like it. Knock it off. Shut the fuck up. Thank you. Gnosis, you are making a point. Please finish your point. I want to hear from DB, and then Django sets his hand up.
Yeah, look, what I'm saying is that we just assume that we've just separated it so much that we can't just bring it back together. It's not the same as, like, it is in the Western society as it is in literally every other continent and country. We have very different ways of expressing our own genders. We have a different way of coding things masculine and feminine too, based on the society. These are emetic and etic terms, all right? When you look into a different society, look, again, the third gender of hijra, you wouldn't understand because you don't have, like, well, some cultures don't legally have a third gender, a third option.
Wait, what is that third gender? What is it called?
Hijra? It's like, it's more like, what is it? Male to female trans. But, like, that's, I guess, the simplest way to put it without getting into the whole lore in detail.
I'm gonna look that up.
Look, we don't have, like, we can communicate ideas, but it also needs to be culturally relative. That's why I'm just putting it in, like, the most broad, basic ass way. Anyways, yes, Doobie.
Yeah, let's go to DB. Grumple or whatever your name is. This time you were muted for 10 minutes by someone. So you'll be unmuted in 10 minutes. Go ahead, DB, please, and then Jankles.
So what was I going to say? Oh, the goal of the trans agenda, right? That thing. I think because I think we can acknowledge that there is an LGBT agenda, right, at play. Just like there's an anti-racist agenda. The goal there is we want to make kids less racist. We want future adults to be less racist, right? Because we think that'll have we'll have better outcomes with less racist people. With the LGBT agenda, it's probably normalizing non-traditional forms of gender expression and sexuality, because we want less bigotry. We want people who happen to be gay or trans or non-binary or whatever to have an easier time in our society, not to be bullied or treated like shit and get depressed and be suicidal because everybody around them is treating them like shit. Right, so that would be, I think, the goal, right? If there's an agenda, and I think there is, that's probably the goal of the agenda, right? And it, again, do you think that's a good thing? I think that's a good thing. That's a noble goal. Again, I've got a trans sibling. I've got a bisexual sister. Right? It seems fine. I don't want them to be treated badly, right? But I think on the other side of that, what people like debate are concerned about, and even like Rumpel is concerned about, is the possibility that introducing these concepts to children in the wrong way too early could influence them into taking on some of those other forms of gender expression that come with that increased risk, right? So, and again, I think Debateboard said earlier that, hey, if it's just, there's two gay caterpillars in the kindergarten storybook, that's fine. I'm sure if one of them was trans, he might think that's fine too. I'm not sure, Debateboard, correct me if I'm wrong. But I think what he has a problem with is like this heavy pushing of, oh yeah, your parents are saying you're a boy, but actually you're not a boy. You could be a girl if you want in the classroom. And I'm not saying that this is like standard practice across the United States. I don't think kindergarten
happening
teachers,
at all.
Well, that's the thing. I think it is happening in some places.
You're incorrect.
No, he's not incorrect.
Wait, hold on. I'm not saying it's like school policy. I'm saying that there are kindergarten teachers, preschool teachers, first grade teachers who are doing this kind of thing. And some of the Libs of TikTok, Twitter activity, was posting videos of these people saying that they're doing these things, and those teachers ended up getting fired. Right. So I'm not saying this is like.
I saw those videos. You're incorrect in your framing. Like they're not saying like your parents are lying to you.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
It's
not that. It's not that they're saying, hey, well, your parents are lying to you about you being a boy. You're actually a girl. It's not that. Right? It's hey, gender's complicated. Yeah, maybe you think you're this, but it's okay if you feel this way, and maybe the boy feels this way, and if you want to express yourself in another way when you're in the classroom, that's totally fine. If you want to use they them pronouns, that's fine, right? And I think when you get into that kind of stuff,
and that's what was exposed by Libs of TikTok by your own admission.
Hold on, but preschoolers, well, not just that. There's like more, but
I think the concern. What was the bad thing?
Well, hold on. I think the concern is when you expose preschoolers, kindergartners, first graders to that kind of these like concepts, which are very like complex. I think we'll all agree. Very complex, very complicated, very difficult for even grown-ass adults to understand a lot of the time. You run the risk of confusing them at some point, and I think that's what they're worried about. That activist teachers are going to be pushing this stuff onto your kid, and because these children are so fueled by positive reinforcement, positive attention, if there's a trans kid in the classroom, and the kid comes down and says, oh yeah, I'm actually trans, and the teacher celebrates that kid in the classroom, other kids might want to be trans too because the teacher's celebrating the trans kid, right? I think it's that kind of thing that they're concerned about.
Oh, don't be concerned about it then. It's a nonsense concern. Don't be concerned about it.
Now,
That's
debate
not how
boy,
gender dysphoria works. That's not how gender dysphoria works.
No, you're getting there, Doobie, and I don't... Jangles, I think you're being a little too flippant here to...
No, I know. I just know. I just know
nonsense.
too much about the topic. I know too much about the research. I know too much about what the literature says to like be concerned about this topic. That's not how gender dysphoria works.
No, I think you're just kind of flippantly disregarding the effect of socialization that occurs when we introduce gender propaganda into the classroom.
Well, yeah, I'm being flippant because you just called it gender propaganda, so I can easily dismiss whatever you have to say about the topic.
No, hey, I'm sorry. Parents across parents across
ideology,
the country, legislators
indoctrination,
across the country, 19 states.
Goddamn,
look,
dude.
Look, it's not like we're just searching for ghosts under the bed here. Okay, so you guys can't just just dismiss these concerns as having no basis in sense and
I can
that
very
they're all
easily
nonsense.
do that because you called it propaganda.
Because
Yeah, that's
much
how
of it
easily it
is.
is. Doug,
Much of it is. What
as
is
someone
propaganda?
as someone who has performed optically bad in thousands of debates, I can tell you if you describe it as propaganda, no one's going to listen to you. As someone who is very bad in debate and who everyone hates because of how I perform,
I agree with debate. I agree that
Yeah.
it's propaganda. It's propaganda. For
Information,
sure.
Exactly, like, no
especially
one's
of a
gonna listen
biased
to
or
these
misleading
people.
nature used to promote or publicize a particular political cause or point of view. And that's what I see gender ideology as, a particular political cause and point of view.
cool, everything is propaganda.
Everything is
A
propaganda,
particular
bro.
point of view? God damn, dude.
Mr.
You want to narrow
Rogers'
it down a little
neighborhood was, like-
further? You want to
Mr.
narrow it
Rogers-
down a little further? How can we teach American history without propaganda? There's a particular point of view there.
Hey,
like,
the
if you make
American
it
left
that
has been telling
broad,
us for
everything's
decades
propaganda.
that
The
US
notion
that
that
teaching
math
US
is
history
valuable as a
propaganda.
point of view. It's embarrassing that that's your definition of propaganda.
Anti-math.
That's not mine. That's
Numbers
from
aren't
the
real.
Oxford Dictionary. I mean, if you got a problem with that, you talk to them.
Can I worm my way in here? I actually okay. So Jangles, I think there is like a very mild concern. Like, think of it like this: when students in psychology courses or psychiatric medical courses, when they're usually on the job, they tend to look and over exaggerate simple behaviors, like simple traits of ADHD or autism. They tend to over exaggerate them, over fixate on them, and
What's it called, like freshman's disease or something?
yeah, it's something like that. That's what they're concerned of, that the children will do themselves. But that's the thing. It's called freshman's disease for a reason. They're obviously going to explore these new identities, use these new words as soon as they can, as quick as they can, because they are now giving you definitions to use. And they're going to see it everywhere. And over time, they're just gonna stop caring as much. That's usually what happens anyways, when they are now more familiar with the complexities and the nuances while using that word. They're just gonna slow down and they're going to calm down and focus. This is why we also don't immediately jump when somebody says, oh, I'm trans, oh, we're gonna start you on like hormone therapy and everything right away. No, they go to a gender therapist who talks to them. There's complexities to this that they need to understand that they can only learn over time. And
yeah,
that's what
I wish people actually knew what gender affirmative meant, because that's what it means. It's like,
Jangles
we're
and
gonna
Gnosis,
talk to you.
real quick here though, it is not. I'm surprised, Gnosis, that you're disregarding the rapid approach that gender activists take when children express that they think they may be trans. They want
what's the
to
rapid
go
approach?
right to hormones as quickly as possible.
When?
And I'm not saying this is
No,
universal.
wait,
I mean, I'm saying
no.
there's
As
a
quickly
very
as
large
possible.
segment
What age?
of
What
the
age are you
activist
talking about?
class that wants this.
What age are you talking about?
I'm talking about minors under 18.
Minors.
even under-
Minors.
even
Fucking
above
17-year-olds are minors. What age are you talking about?
Talking about under 18. You said that.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
fucking
18,
under
but
18.
even as-
Like, yes,
even as-
17
even
is
as-
under 18. That's
Yes,
way
it
different than a
is.
fucking
17 is
5-year-old.
under
17 to 17,
Yeah,
18
Jangles.
5 and
Wait,
17
I'm
are very
also talking
different
about 12 and
ages.
13-year-olds as
Condense
well.
it.
Okay,
condense what
I
you're
have
talking
a
about.
very
So I
simple
just didn't narrow
solution
it
to
for
this.
you. Why are you clapping your hands and going
Because
crazy here?
5 and 17 are different. Narrow it down for me.
I didn't
What when you
say
say
it was
kids?
not different.
Okay,
Okay,
You
so
asked
what-
and I said 18. I
Debate
said
board.
12 and 13.
Okay, so debate board, I have a very simple solution for you. So it's not up for the immediate person to decide that part. How an individual should be treated is very, very complicated because you need to know their physiology for the right dosage of which hormone. Like, are they, like, do they even need the hormone? Sometimes, like, it's a cost problem and they just need the affirmative care of, all right, this is your gender, you're right in believing X, Y, Z. And even during the process of hormone transition, there's a lot of things of identity which change. Like, previously, people who are, sorry, yeah? I was just going to say,
finish my last question.
Previously, people who have been assigned female at birth, when they start transitioning, if they consider themselves lesbian, they might start find themselves more attracted to men. This is not always the case. This does occasionally happen, though, and it is again not up for us. It makes sense for a proper doctor, somebody who is specialized in understanding gender affirmative care and can prescribe the hormone therapy, to decide, all right, you're now old enough. This is like, oh, okay, you actually have gender dysphoria, or oh, maybe you should just consider waiting a little bit, understanding after a year, maybe 2 years after that. Yeah, feel free. If you're 18, honestly, it's just of talking it through, getting a prescription. You were saying something, Brento?
Yeah, I was going to ask. I mean, can you think of a scenario or any case where someone would just be wrong in their gender identification if they're like, under 18 or something, or they're around puberty, and they're just, no, you think you're that, and you're not. You're not that.
Yeah, and that's what the gender affirmative approach allows for.
Yeah,
you could be
I'm gonna
wrong.
use
We talked to
I'm
them.
going to use an anecdote actually of somebody who was who started to transition. They started to socialize themselves as male, and now over time of just like general self discovery, if I'm correct, they were on hormones for about 2.5 months. But then they just were like, all right, I don't feel like a male, but I feel like a masculine female. And they just talked to their doctor, and then they were like, all right, I guess don't take the hormones. Your prescription's now invalid. Good fucking luck, I guess. Because, again, people not really make mistakes because identity is very complicated and changes over time.
So the question was, I mean, that's true. And so that's a case where a person has decided for themselves and they said, no, okay, I don't feel this and I don't want to go on with this. In talking to a doctor, is there any case where a doctor or a professional goes, no, you're wrong, you're not that?
That has happened a few times.
No, is that a part of the? Is that like a valid and is that a good thing to happen? And can that occur?
And
what would trigger something like that? How would you know that?
Well, how it would go is usually direct intent of like, all right, this is very insistent. This is not this doesn't track with what is the general pattern of behavior we see in people who would like to transition. Look, I am not a gender doctor. I have not studied this for years. I am just a 20-year-old in university. But there are people who actually recognize, all right, this is traits commonly associated with people who should transition. And these are commonly associated traits of somebody who is either confused in their identity, and so we're just going to talk through them, explore, all right, what does this make you feel? What does that make you feel? How was your day? How do you how were you treated as what's called a male? Did you like the terms? Was a term a little bit confusing? Maybe try this term instead. Maybe it's not that you're a
fuck all
like
that shit.
you're not female to male. Maybe you're just non-binary, or you
Nos
just
is
don't prescribe
correct.
ideas
That's
to
literally
like
a can
Literally
of
everything he's saying is
traditional feminine
correct.
behavior. I mean,
Literally
look,
everything he's saying is correct.
this
No, I
is
don't believe in any of
literally
that shit. I feel like someone
you
should
don't need
get
to
their
believe in
own-
any of this because doctors
Someone should
do
have
this.
their life
There's
together
PhDs on paper
first,
and people should
before
have
they
their lives
change their
together
gender.
like children.
Fuck
children.
They should not even have the choice to change their gender. Is what I'm saying.
They
All right, well, you're just wrong.
But I said before we go down that, I want to engage with debate board and Doobie on this. Okay, and also, oh, I'm sorry, Grendel, you're unmuted, so let me do that right now. But Debate War and Doobie, if you were following Gnosis and what he was saying, like strategies to introduce these things, do you think that, because people come at me for like loving the term ACAP because all cops are indeed bastards, right? But like I can imagine, right, the response here being like, well, the messaging here is bad. That this what Gnosis just said, like I can picture a lot of people getting the reaction that Mothbane just gave, right? Is there any which way that it would be acceptable to you to get across like what Gnosis just said in a way that was not terrible in your eyes?
I think only at the higher grades, and probably high school is where I would limit that. Again, I am hugely skeptical of the aims and goals and objectives of the folks who are pressing so hard to introduce the stuff to K through 3. And by this stuff, I have a fairly narrow guide of what that means. So I don't see.
Can you tell us? Can you clue us in?
I already
finish his point.
There is way too much that should be going on in a classroom that is crowded out by going down this, again, this kind of radical gender theorizing and ideologuing in K through 3. And if we're going to do it, let's do it when kids can actually critically assess it, have critical conversations. But again, I think the people who are pushing for this, they're not interested in having critical conversations. They're simply intent on imposing, not actual critical discussion or anything else. Because again, as soon as you critically assess any of this, the instant you do that, you're smeared as someone who wants to see trans people suicide.
Let's go to. No. I want to get here from Doobie first. Yeah, please.
I think I'm much more like my position is a lot softer on this than Debate Wars. I would say this seems like a topic you should introduce when children start learning about like reproduction, about sex, about pregnancy, things like this. Right? I remember that happening when I was in like 5th grade. Right. I remember watching a video of a woman giving birth when I was in 5th grade. But to be fair, I went to very bad public schools. Right? So if there are public schools where they're teaching this at like 1st grade or whatever, 2nd grade, I'm fine with that. And to be clear, even before that, right? I see you over there, Jangles, waving your hands around. Be very clear. I'm not talking about, fucking gender expression generally, or being gay or trans or whatever. I'm talking about getting deep into what gender identity is and sexuality and all that kind of stuff. Right? Everything else before, they could definitely talk about trans people existing and there being gay couples and trans couples and whatever the fuck. I'm totally fine with that in kindergarten. Right? But I'm talking about getting like deep into gender identity and pronouns and all that kind of shit. No, pronouns I'm fine with earlier than that, but just like deep into gender identity and sexuality and sexual identities, like that's, I think when they start teaching about, reproduction, they can start learning about that. That's kind of like my cutoff right now, but I'm very flexible on it.
Okay, let's go to Jangles and Gnosis.
Yeah, I'm so confused. Like, I agree with all you said, but I'm unsure like what your objections are. Like, what do you think we're teaching to kids?
I don't have strong objections, right? If I had strong objections, it would be to the things that the more extreme things that do happen, that do exist, that are in some of these like Libs of TikTok videos, right?
But I don't know what those are. I want to know what those are.
So one of them was having children pledge to the trans flag or whatever. Another one was there's a woman who was a preschool teacher. It's like on her first day of being a preschool teacher, the topic of gender identity and sexuality came up. Right, I think that's a little young to be talking about gender identity.
Okay, gender identity? That's fine. Kids have a sense of gender identity by the time they're 2 or 3. It's entirely biologically, scientifically appropriate. But what does sexuality mean? I'm actually this is something that like really pisses me off. What does sexuality mean?
Sexuality, I think,
in your head.
In my head, when I hear the word sexuality, I think a person's like physical sexual attraction to another person. So single people, heterosexual people, gay people, things like this.
Yeah, and
I can imagine a reason for a preschool teacher talking to preschool children about that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine if that's your definition of sexuality. But sexuality to a lot of people also just means like sexual orientation.
Well, Jangles,
Like-
that might be true.
Wait, I think
but
that's what
we
I said.
saw.
So
No. You we're talking about sexual attraction. Okay, so sexuality can mean 1,000 different things. Well, actually, 3 different things. It could mean sexual orientation, which might have nothing to do with sex. It might mean sexual attraction, which means like, what are you sexually attracted to? Or it could just mean like, it could actually also mean like romantic attraction. Like sexuality is so broad, it can
Those three
it can
things you
incorporate-
described are all the
Okay,
same thing to most
I'm not done
people.
talking. I'm not done talking.
Go ahead, then.
Sexuality can infer like things that are absolutely fine to teach to kids, and it can encompass like things that are not okay to teach to kids. It's a useless term. You have to say
No,
when you
it's
say
incredibly useful.
sexuality, what do you mean? Do you mean straight people exist? Do you mean mommy and daddy love each other? That's sexuality. Or do you mean anal fisting? That could mean sexuality. Narrow your terms. When someone says sexuality, what do you actually mean?
I only ever mean anal fisting.
Yeah,
On any
unfortunately-
subject.
Unfortunately, I can't dig into this woman's brain and pull out what she meant by sexuality. But I think generally the topics of sexuality and gender identity, right? And I think to the average person, sexuality, I think the way that I described it was basically sexual orientation in like more words and much more like in a much more clumsy way. So I think sexual orientation and gender identity, I don't think that's something that needs to come up in like a preschool class generally, right? Like, but again, I don't know exactly what she said to these children, but I can imagine lots of bad things being said to these children that I'd be uncomfortable with. Further, there are other stories.
Doobie,
Is that good enough? Is that good enough?
Doobie.
There are other stories, right, or incidents that have come out where these teachers have actually encouraged children to go by like neutral pronouns in the classroom, or or when a child has said, "Hey, I want to use this pronoun," they encourage it and they celebrate it in the classroom. They make a big deal about it, and then you get other children in the classroom that also want to do this because they're reacting to the positive enforcement that the first kid got. Right, so I think that kind of stuff I'm not okay with. I don't think at like fucking kindergarten, first grade, you should be doing that kind of shit with kids. I think generally those topics should be kind of set aside until they're a little bit older. And again, what I mean by a little bit older is just when you start learning about reproduction and sex, you learn about this.
All right, so you're the teacher. You have you're in first grade, so you have 6-year-olds, and one of the 6-year-olds, you knew that when they were a kindergartner and they identified as Janet, but now they show up to first grade and they identify as James. That's what they want to be called by. So all the kids know that used to be Janet, and now James shows up to your first grade class because that happens, because that's what the science says, and that's what like a ton of things say. So what do you do as a teacher?
I would be totally neutral about it.
What's neutral mean?
If other kids have questions
what's
about
neutral
it,
mean?
well, I would just respect whatever pronouns they've got, and that's fine, right? And if other kids had questions or were being disrespectful, I'd chastise them for being disrespectful. If they had questions about why this was happening, I'd give a little explainer. But hey, yeah, sometimes people use different pronouns. People can have a different gender identity than it's like traditional, whatever, and that's totally fine. And you're going to respect it in the classroom, and that's it, right? Then we move on.
Yeah, that's a great answer, but a lot of people would say that you're indoctrinating kids into trans ideology.
Yeah,
say
I
that,
would
right?
disagree. It's like I
don't think
like I said,
actually. I
my
wouldn't
position
say
is a
that
little more
Doobie is
What can you do
indoctrinating
about
kids.
it, though?
Oh, really?
What can you do about it?
I'm actually a little surprised by that.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, in some respects, I don't think Doobie and I are that far off here. I mean, and I appreciate Django's point about just kind of haphazardly referring to sexuality here. I think the video that Doobie was referring to, if I'm not mistaken.
What just fuck? Oh, is that not just? Oh shit.
Schoolers or kindergartners, and coming out to them, right? I think that is completely inappropriate for teachers to do with really at any grade, but certainly at K through or preschool through third grade, expressing what their sexual orientation is, and thereby talking about their sexuality.
Do you know what coming out means? I'm actually curious.
I don't. But
what does
simply
coming out
based
mean?
on those videos that I saw, these people were worried about how they were going to tell the kids that they were transgender, or that they were gay, or that they were binary, or something
Do
else.
straight or cis people need to come out? This is what people fucking don't understand about like coming out. I
bad.
have to.
I don't
I
care.
have to. I know you don't give a
Literally, I
fuck
don't care
because you
because
haven't,
you're
you
going to
haven't
go
thought
down the
about
line where it
this.
says
You
that
haven't, no,
men
you
and
haven't
women
fucking
should
thought
not
about
wear
this.
wedding bands and women should not take their husband's last names in the
I
classroom.
know, you don't give a,
That's
you
where you're
haven't
gonna
thought
end
about
up,
this
and I
at
don't
all.
care.
You know, I know you don't give a fuck because you haven't thought about this in any way, shape, or form. Queer people have to come out to every new person. Coming out is not something you do once. Coming out is something you do to every single motherfucking person that doesn't know.
Why don't cis people, so-called
Cis people don't have to come out.
to
It's
people? Why
assumed.
not?
Straight people don't have to come out. It's assumed. That's what
Wait a second.
cis
As a
heteronormativity is.
As a biological
Straight and
male,
cis is not the same, Jangles.
No, I said cis heteronormativity. Wait. Yeah,
man,
you don't
that's
have to come out
word
as
diarrhea
cis.
right there.
That's different than heterosexual. And
Hey,
neither one of them had to come out.
Jangles,
I don't know
why
what the
don't
fuck
I
you were
feel-
talking about.
Hey, Jangles, why don't I feel compelled when I come on this panel to tell all of you that I'm a heterosexual male?
You don't have to. I didn't feel compelled
Why
to
not?
either, but it was relevant to
I
the
mean, why
topic.
don't I individually feel compelled to do that?
Because you don't need to. It wasn't relevant
not
to
a
the
relevant
topic. But we're
topic.
talking about gay and trans people. We're talking about
No,
queer
no, no.
people.
But
Are you
you're,
coming
you're
out as
saying
straight
that
to
we
us
don't
right
have
now?
to because of something. I'm just
You
asking.
literally wait. You literally just
Sorry?
did. Wait, so you literally just did. So you did feel compelled to do
just
it.
came out by expressing that. All right.
No, no.
If I
no,
feel
I'm
the
trying
need
to
of
ask a
telling
serious
you that
question
I
here.
am,
Why do
that is
I,
coming out.
as a biological male, not feel compelled when I meet somebody at the office for the first time to say, you know what, I'm a biological male?
Because it's assumed. That's what cis heteronormativity
He's
is.
asking you why it is
people
assumed.
don't
The
need
next
to
question
tell
is
you
why
that
is
they're
it assumed?
transgender.
Why is it assumed? Because it's the assumed default. Because that's what's considered normal based on like fucking thousands of years of history.
So
That's
why,
what's assumed
why do
normal.
why do 34-year-old transgender women feel compelled to come out to 6-year-old boys and girls in their classroom?
Because that is against the norm, and they're introducing this other idea.
no, but
and
why do
also,
they feel
this person
compelled to do
exists.
it?
Compelled to like.
Why do they
You
feel?
think they're not gonna
They
have
just want more
questions?
power. They want more power.
The trans
Yeah,
want more
disregard
power.
that.
Teachers want to
But
groom
Jangles,
people.
but
Fucking
what-
incredible, dude.
Yeah.
What
They want to
is-
make transformers. That's a trans
Okay,
agenda.
so hold on. So I'm gonna try to engage with you, debate poor, because we gotta wrap this up soon. So debate poor, why do they feel the need? So I'm going to assume I don't know what incident you're talking about, but I'm going to assume it happened, where someone who was of that age, an older woman, right, trans woman, was explaining herself to 6-year-olds. Because otherwise they will not know, because their parents won't talk about it, society won't talk about it, society doesn't have to, because that's what normativity is, right? When
Prime, let me interrupt you real quick.
when you are relating this to something else, right? And this, you didn't say anything about race, but I'm going to relate to race just for a second, okay? When you are white and you grow up in an all-white neighborhood, right, then you don't have to like deal with like the complications of race. Or at least not in the same way that other people do, right?
The
And so
status
you
quo
don't-
lacks saliency.
So exactly, right? So you don't consider these things, you don't contemplate these things until much later in your lifetime, right? And then by then, who knows what conclusions you might have arrived at, right? So instead, right, like the good thing is that we can introduce these people, right? We can give them a more diverse education. We can help them meet people of other different races, help them mingle, and that will, it'll create better outcomes in the end, right? And so relating this back to here, if this trans woman, now I'm going to take your word that this thing happened, right? If this trans woman came out to 6-year-olds, yeah, hey, some people can be like this, like just like you're learning that mommies and daddies sometimes get together and become a couple, right? Sometimes it's boys and boys, sometimes it's girls and girls, and every so often a girl might want to be a boy and a boy might want to be a girl, right? Not that you feel that way, but it's a thing that happens. It's no big deal, right? And then they move on. That's why. What do you think, debate board?
No, I mean, I see your point, and I see the kind of altruistic, I think might be the right word, approach to this, which is the teacher is using themselves, right, to illustrate to young children that that transgender people or gay people exist, right? And I think that's what you're trying to say. But when you watch these folks and you watch them on their videos and their very performative acts that they do on Facebook and TikTok and YouTube, and the way that they express their anguish and anxiety about coming out, it doesn't feel to me, it doesn't come off to me as though that their intent is simply engaging in a, hey, I just want you to be, I just want you 6-year-olds to know that trans people exist. No, there seems to be a much deeper thing that is going on. And when you see further add-on videos from these same people and the messages that they have for the children and the people watching their videos of how they're lacing into their day-to-day activities, the assignments they're giving to the children, the posters, the flags, the stickers, the shirts, the hats, all this sort of stuff, it no longer seems to be simply, hey, I just want you to know that I'm a transgender person and that people like me exist, and we should still exercise the same courtesy, respect, care, love,
Yeah, I think I
and
can help you with
appreciation
this.
for.
I think I can help you with this because you don't know what coming out means. You asked, why don't I feel the need to come out as a straight man to you? Because when you utter the sentence, me and my wife went to Olive Garden the other day, you're not coming out as a straight man. That was assumed. If I say me and my husband went out to Olive Garden the other day, that's me coming out as gay. All right? That is very, 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 very different. So yeah, coming out is a hard process. Coming out is something that is very
I'm not
uncomfortable.
suggesting it's
And
an
a lot
easy
of us want to
process,
make, no,
Jangles.
you don't want it to be that thing. You know what the gay agenda is? It's when you can say, me and my husband went out to Olive Garden and not have a record scratch in the societal zeitgeist. That's what the gay agenda is.
God,
And
there
we
is no,
do need to be
there is
more
no
normalized.
record scratching going on in contemporary America.
There,
Come
where
on.
the fuck do you live?
Portland, Oregon.
Okay, you live in
Before they-
Portland,
Ann Arbor,
Oregon.
Michigan.
All right, Doug, I live in
And
rural
Detroit,
goddamn motherfucking Kentucky. I live in rural goddamn motherfucking Kentucky.
Well, then it
Contemporary
depends on
America?
then
Did
it
you forget
depends on
about the
who you're hanging out
heartlands
with.
of America?
It
Did you
depends on
forget
who you're
about the
hanging out with at
blue-collar
that
workers
point.
of the
Do you
world?
surround yourself with people that don't like you for who you are?
Wait,
Make more
surround
people that don't
myself.
like you for
Dog,
who you
sometimes I go out and like meet other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I go outside and meet people who I don't know. And I always have to like make the judgment call like, okay,
Jangles, look, hey,
who did you
I'll
vote
be-
for in the last
I'll be
election?
completely
Come out to
open
them,
and
and then
honest
they-
here with you.
what
Jangles,
happens?
And that I have not experienced what you have experienced. I have what I have experienced. So I work with a transgender person. When this person showed up to work the very first time, it was a male transitioning to female, adopted very the female characteristics, right? There was no record skip. There was no, like, who is this person? There
I'm
was
so
no
happy that that's what you've
thing.
experienced.
Yeah, finish your point, debate board, please.
Right. So, hey, I'm open to the fact that I haven't lived your experience. I don't know what your experience is, but that you get so hot and bothered that I may have this alternative experience or set of experiences, I don't think is warranted. And it doesn't add any insight here. It doesn't mean I'm right. It doesn't mean you're wrong. It doesn't mean vice versa.
Okay. Thanks all for sticking around. What we will do, we're gonna rate. We're gonna do like the rate thing. Guys and gals and non-binary pals, which we are acknowledging here. We're acknowledging non-binaries. Thank you all for coming through. This has been absolutely great. Yes, we will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be doing Fanatics panel, which is going to be fantastic. Can't wait. I'll stream that. So stick around for that later on. And Thursday we'll have all black everything. So I'll be back for that. And we always got more content 7 nights a week. So hit that follow button. I haven't done so yet. Hit that follow button right this second. Right, and make sure notifications are on. We got content like this all the time. Divisive content, us yelling at each other, us losing our shit, or like kind content, like we did earlier today with Amazon Lily. Right, that was a little different. We had a bunch of ladies coming on here, and we had a really good time discussing issues with them. So if you